That's $10,000, Connor. Ha ha! Yeah! 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 This show is not for sharpshooters. This show is a fucking machine gun. There's no chewy center to this show. It's all hard candy. This show is not a sniper on a fucking roof. This show is a drone taking out a village. Do not invite me into your house because I will come in and I will wreak fucking havoc. Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-Year-Old Boy Podcast. I forgot how to do this. I told Lily, I said, because she's like, are you ready? And I go, I don't know if I'm ready. And I actually, bullshit, that's not what I said. I went, that's what I did. Because she asked me a few times. And I'm sitting here, I have earbuds in. I'm poised. I'm ready to strike at the microphone like a cobra, like a fucking podcasting cobra. By the way, that's the most boring podcast you'll ever hear in your life. Unless you like if you like that, then you're going to like the Cobra's podcast. Which, by the way, is right there with the monkey's paw is one of my favorite stories from childhood. The monkey's paw is really a good story, but it can't touch the Cobra's podcast. Oh, my God. And by the way, if you don't enjoy the Cobra's podcast, just enjoy it for the technical aspects of having to get the headphones on the Cobra before he broadcasts. Do you know how difficult it is to put earbuds on a Cobra? Holy God. So rough. And look, it's not because the Cobra doesn't want to participate. It's just the hard part is finding where to put the earbuds. He sits, he relaxes, he sits still, and he gives you the look. Sometimes he hypnotizes you. And I'll tell you what, try to record a clean Cobra's podcast without the Indian guy blowing the fucking horn. That's the worst part of the whole thing. Because I enjoy the Cobra's podcast because people get me out on me. They're like, Mike, you know what? We listen to your show, and it's difficult to get past Lily's laughing sometime. And look, I understand that. But when you listen to the Cobra's podcast, you're able to tune out the do 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 in the background, aren't you? Yes, you are. That's the only way to get the Cobra to do his podcast. Normally, he's laying around like a dumb fuck. He doesn't want to do anything but bite people and stare. That's all Cobras do, and they spit at you. Don't they spit at you too? Lily, I ask you. You're the Cobra expert in the room. Why would you possibly divorce yourself from this conversation?
I'm the Cobra whisperer. I don't use earphones. I don't.
You just go straight through, huh? They don't need an earbud with you. All right, fantastic. That's my friend Lily Bunched Up. I don't know how to do this show anymore, folks. I'm lost. I don't know what to do or say because it's been a couple of weeks, man. I did we did two in one day. Not really two. We did one full show and then we did a show parentheses later on at that. We did, and then we jammed stuff in the middle of it, because you know me, folks. I like the cosine. I like algebra. I enjoy to have. What are they called? Parentheses in algebra 2, or are they called brackets? Not algebra 2. Algebra 2 is another class entirely. I mean, in algebra, are the parentheses called brackets, or are they called parentheses? Because parentheses is an English word, a word for English. Good Lord, look at the semantics. I'm in so much trouble here, folks. I can't do it. You gonna hang yourself? Are you? You know who can't hang himself? The Cobra. He wants to. We put the Cobra in the Cobra's podcast, put the earbuds on him, and he's like, I wish I could fashion a crude noose out of this. However, I don't have arms. Oh my God, if snakes had arms, this whole world changes, right? Would snakes use their arms for good or bad? I can't decide. Because I just think all snakes are bitey, right? Aren't they all bitey and squeezy? That's what they want to be. They just want to be bitey and squeezy. But I'll tell you what, maybe giving a python arms makes him less squeezy. Maybe he's like, I'm going to squeeze the shit out of you. And then you're like, boom, you've got arms. And he's like, shake my hand for saving me from a lifetime of squeezing you. I mean, he's so excited. He's so happy not to be squeezing you at that point, right? Because maybe a python's just so angry. That's their fury. Their fury is in not being able to really hug you, so a python just squeezes the fuck out of you. So if you give them arms, huh?
Are pythons furious?
They're so angry. How do you not know that about pythons? That's why they squeeze the shit out of you. Or are you putting forth the notion, Lily Bunched Up, are you coming forward and telling me, possibly, that all pythons are retarded? Is that what you're saying? And so they're like Lenny of Mice and Men, and they just pet you to death? Like they just want to really hug you, but they squeeze you to death?
I know they were all furious.
They're so angry.
Listen to the Cobra podcast because I don't know enough about snakes.
See, why will you deal with the Cobras off the air? But yet, then you refuse to listen to their podcast. You only whisper to them off the air, but then they do their podcast like, I'm out. Look, I work with them from 9 to 5. The last thing I want to do when I'm off is listen to a Cobra and his bleedings on my podcast. The Bleedings of the Cobra. That was a great song by, who was it? Blackmore's Rainbow? I think it was Blackmore's Rainbow. The Bleatings of the Cobra. Hi, folks. I don't know how to do this show anymore. It's very obvious. I've latched onto this snake. Are you okay? All right, I'll tell you this too, folks. I have some crazy times ahead of me in the next couple of weeks. You know, all sorts of scheduling problems and things. And I'm also wired. I'm not wired. I was wired that when I was keyed up. I'm fried right now. I'm fried out because I've worked 5 doubles in a row. 5 doubles, folks. Morning to night. I show at work. I show up when the sun is up, and I leave when it's gone. It's so depressing. So depressing. I said so pressing, not depressing. It's so Lee Presson. That's a nail and a guy. There's a dude on Facebook named Lee Presson, and every time I read it, I just go, really? What? Did I say his right name wrong?
No, what's really funny is I know him through burlesque.
Oh, okay.
And we connected on Facebook and realized that he's a fan of yours, and that's why he friended me. And we were like, wow, this is weird. We know each other in two different directions, but didn't know.
That's crazy. I thought he got me through you.
No.
Okay, I had no idea. Hi, Lee.
Through the Cobra podcast.
You know what? That was the whole thing. That was our common denominator. The Cobra podcast brought us all together.
Oh, I'm tired.
We need a Cobra podcast. We have to do it, right? The Mike Schmidt Podcast Network has an animal opening since the giraffe left.
Shit.
Since the giraffe left, folks, if you didn't laugh at that, kill yourselves. Honestly, just go ahead and leap off a building, a taller enough building to kill yourself. Don't paralyze yourself over that joke. It needs death. I can't have you in a chair for the rest of your life because you didn't enjoy that joke. I need you completely fucking dirt napping. Absolutely jump off and die. And tie your belt to a TV antenna. By the way, go jump off a building in 1924. All right, so 1924, that seems early for the TV antennas. Holy shit. All right, 1964? 64, that's what the TV antennas are. That's what they come in. That's when Twilight Zone showed up, which ushered in the golden era of television, as we all know, which I can't watch because I broke my glasses. I'm great, folks. Really, I'm good at this. I'm remembering. Slowly, I'm remembering. I'm thawing out like a caveman who's learning how to do things again. I don't know if cavemen thaw out and learn how to do things again, but who cares? In this case, they do. Encino Man would. Brendan Fraser would. He ran away from me. Oh, and he's bald. He's so bald. He wears a toque. And now I'm going to be him. I'm Brendan Fraser light. That's who I am. But nobody wants to. I can't run away from anybody. People still run away from me. Damn it. All right. I will never be famous enough to run away from you, folks. Trust me. I just did a podcast and the guys asked me questions about people, and it was so weird to talk about like fans and supporters and things. And it's just, and you guys are great and nice, but it's just so odd to call people that. You know what I mean? It's just strange because you can call me if you want. I can't call Brad Pitt. I love Brad Pitt. And look, I'm not the Brad Pitt of podcasting, although there is conjecture. I certainly will not. I won't argue. It was down to me and Adam Carolla and a Cobra. That was the voting between the three of us to see who would be. And and that's why the draft quit. He was not involved. We didn't nominate him. He was so furious at the MSPN, he fucking bailed. He said, I'm leaving. Nay! And he ran away. And I said, why do giraffes say nay? That's why we don't hire you anymore, because you were doing the horse podcast in giraffes' clothing. Don't care for it.
Oh my Christ.
I think there's a market for animal podcasts. And I think that market is everybody on Facebook who tells me to rescue a fucking puppy. God damn it. Enough. Okay? Enough. If you want to do it, do it. That's fine. I have comedian friends. I have friends who are just like, take a look at this budgie. We saved it from a fire. I mean, I don't fucking care. Let that budgie burn up in a goddamn fire. There are 10 more budgies to take its place. There's 100 more budgies to take its place. Fuck that. There's 1,000 budgies out there who aren't burned up in a fire. Go save them. Good Lord. Look at this earthworm. I almost stepped on it. Who wants to buy it? Nobody! Jesus Christ, survival of the fittest. Don't you know? Didn't Jesus tell you that sometimes animals die? Of course he did. You think I liked putting a bullet in that giraffe's head when it quit its show? I didn't. I didn't care for it. But the second it sassed me with a neigh, I had to put a fucking bullet right between its giraffe eyes. Right in the brown spot, right in the center of its fucking head. Go down, giraffe. And then I hollowed it out and I slept in it because it was cold outside. That's right. I used my lightsaber, slid it open, and I climbed in for some sleep. I slept inside of a dead giraffe. I think I still smell like dead giraffe, too. That's not good. Ugh, that's grim. Dead giraffe smells like bouillabaisse. Did you know that? It smells like bouillabaisse. Bouillabaisse. That's a French word. It means dead giraffe. What if it did mean dead giraffe? And how often would you need a word that meant dead giraffe? Couldn't you just say dead giraffe? The French. Yeah, exactly. That's because they act up and they get sassy, and sure enough, you get a fucking drop a nay on me, you're going to get a bullet in your fucking head. It's going to happen, goddammit. Quit telling me to save these animals. Facebook is all about memes and telling me to save a fucking bobcat. I don't care. If I save that bobcat, it's going to bite me. I don't want to get bitten by a bobcat. All right.
Oh my God.
You know what? Check that. I do want to get bitten by a bobcat because that's a story. Because then I remember how to do the show. If I got a story about being bitten by a bobcat, maybe I start saving these animals. Maybe I save them, but I don't really save them. You know what I should do? Like, what does the saving mean? Do I have to take care of them? We're going to just put them in my house. I can just put an animal in my house. That's like saving it, right? Because I saw a story yesterday. It's like, and this was the exact fucking thing. All right, it was my friend Karen, I think, who posted it, or it might have been Sharon. Only people with rhyming names save animals. So it might have been Darren. So, actually, you know what? It was Freddie Farron, who I went to high school with. Or no, it was John Farron. John Farron banged Jackie Cockrell. All right, so that's stuff from my high school that nobody knows. Although now they do. Now I just fucking spit it out. Fred Farron, I actually worked with Fred Farron at Jewel. I worked at a grocery store. Yeah, dude, this is just free form. Now I'm just fucking flying. That's what we're doing. I don't remember how to do this show, folks. All we're doing is just talking. We're just making things happen. We're spitting things into the ether and see what comes out. See if we can form a goddamn sentence. This show is littered with dead giraffes and Cobra podcasts, and now the Farrons have shown up. When the Farrons have shown up, you know things have gone very bad. And you don't want Frank Machuda here. If Frank Machuda shows up, things go really awfully wrong, terrible, bad. Frank Machuda known for hunting giraffes. All right, so stop. Stay in control. I was going to do Destroyer by the Kinks, but I won't. All right. I just had to stop. So hi, folks. How are you? I'm back. So yeah, I have a weird. I'm fried from doubles, and I don't know what my schedule looks like. And it's just, and people want me to save animals. That's what I was going to say. Fuck, dude. This was on Facebook. A person that I know wrote, I'm going to change the names here. All right, because I don't remember. But still, I'm still changing the names. But it was like, my friend Gloria is a goddamn hero. She saw a homeless woman abusing these 2 dogs, and she rescued them. Who wants them? Nobody wants them. That's why the homeless woman was beating them to death with a stick. If anybody wanted them, that wouldn't be their lot in life. They wouldn't be following around some woman who's feeding them scraps out of an old overcoat, for fuck's sake. If somebody wanted them, that you wouldn't need to have to fucking advertise on Facebook for me to take them. You know who should take them? Gloria. Because Gloria stepped up and stopped this carnage. So, and the best bit was the picture of the 2 dogs. It was like the back of a station wagon with the fucking, what's that door called in the back of a station wagon?
Hatch?
But not a hatch. A hatch goes up. It's the one that goes down. Like the back of a pickup truck. You know what I mean? Fuck, I can't even think of that word. How could I pull 10 dead giraffes out of my ass and I can't think of the word for the fucking truck thing? I still can't. Look at that, the truck thing. It's a cargo thing. Not a flap. It's a door. You know, who cares? You know what it was? It was a dog bed in this photo because there's like two dogs that had just gone 15 rounds with a homeless chick, and they just look worse for wear. They're laying out, and then she's like, Gloria's like, who wants them? Nobody wants them. If someone had wanted them, they wouldn't be getting murdered by a homeless person. And also, I got to be honest with you, if you're gonna put a picture on Facebook and ask me who wants these dogs, maybe you throw a spit bath their way because these dogs look like they just went 15 rounds with a homeless woman. I'm not taking those into my house. I got a dead giraffe in there I'm sleeping in. I can't fucking have those 2 dogs in there because they'll eat that dead giraffe. Then, then I really don't have a bed. I don't have a bed now, so I sleep in a dead giraffe. 2 dogs show up, they eat that giraffe. Where the fuck do I sleep? I'll tell you, in the back of Gloria's car. I just trade out with the dogs. The dogs can have my apartment and I'll sleep in the back of Gloria's car. And then you can put on Facebook, who wants to rescue this guy? He just went 10 rounds with a dead giraffe and 2 dogs that I saved. Jesus Christ. I don't get it. Constantly on Facebook, people are telling me to save animals, and I guess that's what it's for. It's like a weird 4-legged Amber Alert. That's all Facebook is at that point. They're just like, hey, someone stole a rat. Who wants to buy it? Jesus Christ, nobody does. If I wanted to buy a rat, I wouldn't be on fucking Facebook. I'd be off looking for rats to buy at the rat store. Yeah, I think I'm remembering how to do this. If me saying buying rats at the rat store wasn't enough to clue you in, folks, that I am a professional broadcaster, that's all I had in my head. Buying rats at the rat store. Ludicrous, folks. Ludicrous. On its face. Everybody knows you buy rats at the rodent store. You can't have a singular store just for rats. You have to have all the rodents under one roof. It's a lot of R's. I hate pet stores. Who was I talking to about that the other day? Like, I don't mind animals. I don't mind dogs. But pet stores, they're just freaky. It's just pet jail. It's just visiting animals in pet jail. And then you have to leave them there. And then visiting hours are over for you. You get to go home and live your life. But then they have to sit there and eat a fake steak. Oh, it's awful. Do they have to eat fake steak? Or are they just giving them a fake steak? Or is it me who's giving them a fake steak when I break in like a ninja into the pet store in the middle of the night? Don't even fake laugh at that one. That one was terrible. I got nothing. Firing. I was, wasn't I?
And then you started.
I was going to do that, and all of a sudden we wound up feeding fake steaks to dogs in pet jail. Laugh strong. That's a strong word. Are we actually still recording? Oh, hi, folks. There's a show. No, because I told Lily, because again, there's a time crunch. And so I'm like, I'm just going to, you know what? I got to just jump right into it today. And 14 dead giraffes later, here we are, folks. We're not jumping into anything other than dead giraffes. We are leaping into those with both feet, folks. I am stomping in a dead giraffe puddle. But if you want to do that, I will go ahead and throw my jacket over it, and you can cross the street right over that dead giraffe and not sully your shoes. Stop making a face. She keeps looking at me like, you ever see Natural Born Killers? In Natural Born Killers is a great point where Robert Downey Jr. goes off on a tangent. And he's like basically scolding Woody Harrelson. And the producer looks at him and she puts her finger in her nose and runs her mouth like, yeah, nah, nah, like this is entertaining nobody but you. And I just picture Lily doing that all the goddamn time. You should be. I'm not saying you are. Yeah, there you go. That's nice. But it was just this message to Robert Downey Jr. And it's like, dude, this is fucking self-indulgent garbage. And it's like, I'm so happy you're my producer, because if she was my producer, this podcast doesn't go past episode 9. Folks, there's much to talk about. I was on the road. I did things. I was gone. But there's something I do want to touch base on first. Let's talk about this for just a second. Last week, we did a show where I did parentheses. And in the middle, we had the Bridgetown show, which I hope some of you enjoyed. Some of you did, some of you didn't. Some of you had heard it before. That's fine. Thank you. I'm glad you paid attention. But last week, I was on a plane, so I could not come in and do the show. But there was a thing I wanted to talk about last week, and then it turned out that I couldn't because I was gone and whatever the fuck, and I didn't feel I had justice to put it in the parentheses, and that's fine. But here's the thing. As you know, folks, I've been losing weight, or trying to lose weight. In some way. I decided, I made a conscious decision. You know what? Fuck this. I'm going to lose some weight. So it was July 9th that I went to the gym for the first time, and I met Jeremiah. Weirdly, not a bullfrog. Yeah, awful, right? It always comes back to animals on this show. It has to. Why not? But however, he is a good friend of mine. Always drinks my wine, though. Why do I have wine at the gym? Don't ask. So Jeremiah was the head trainer guy, and he's like this tall, strapping Mormon guy with muscles. And the first day I went was July 9th, and I was going to inquire about my appointments that I had purchased. I should start from the jump on this. Wait, should I even go into this, or should I talk about the trip? Which should I do?
You should talk about the trip, but you're into this, so let's go.
No, I got to talk about the trip. You know what? Next week I bring you the saga of the gym, folks. How about that? That keeps you coming back, doesn't it? I clapped once. I was on a plane last week, folks, as you know. Well, people are pissed off at me for not finishing the Madonna story from 2 weeks ago, whatever the fuck it was. I got emails about that, too. I should just finish that story. Should I? No, I shouldn't. No? I know Todd Rush will write me later and tell me exactly what I should have done. Todd is the broken story man. He always writes me. And by the way, that is my favorite Donovan song. Broken story man. That's my Donovan impression. Folks, where are you going to find a Donovan impression in this day and age as good as that one? The only reason I know that song is because it was in Zodiac. I saw Zodiac. It was funny. Karen was out of town when I saw Zodiac the day I saw Zodiac. And, yeah, okay, the nose, I get it. All right, so, fuck. Folks, this is difficult. This is so hard.
You were going to talk about
I know I was.
Keep going on.
You know what's funny? I've done.
It's funny.
Well, I've done 2 podcasts. Well, I know you're not angry, but I mean, I've done 2 podcasts since I did my last podcast. And one of them was a show called Storyworthy with our friend Christine Blackburn and Hannes Finney. And Christine was writing, because I had no idea. I met Christine at Podfest, and I knew Christine. She was a comic. I've known her a while, but it was not like we really interact a lot. So she writes me, and she asks me if I'll do Storyworthy. After she gives me a lighter that says Storyworthy and a bookmark that says Storyworthy and every other fucking tchotchkes that they have to give away, for fuck's sake. It's crazy. I literally have nothing to give away but my voice, but they've got everything else. So she moderated my Podfest thing with John Lovitz, and she did a good job of it, but it was so cute because she had my bio on a piece of paper. So every time she'd have to go, and also here's the very funny Mike Schmidt. Mike Schmidt's show has been called the funniest answering machine message you'll ever receive, which our friend Gene George actually said, who, by the way, I don't think listens anymore, but that was still my favorite description of the show when he wrote it to me. And so she would read aloud my bio every time. And it was cute. It made me laugh. So then afterwards, she's like, well, you do Storyworthy. I said, I'd really like to do that because I've heard a lot about the show and I know my friend Sharon likes it, and so I'd love to do it. So she's like, we got to get you on. So literally like an hour later I get an email, hey, how about this week? And I was not prepared to do Storyworthy that soon, folks. So, and also I had something, I was out of town. I was going to Seattle for the show. So I was trying to prepare for that. And I said I couldn't do it. I had to say no. And then she went, well, what about this day? And I said, yes. And then as that day rapidly approached, I completely forgot about it. So then Christine sends me a note and she's like, hey, I just want to make sure you know that you're doing Storyworthy on Thursday, November 7th. And here's the address. Here's where we record. Because, dude, this is another thing. I record in Lily's house. All right. I'm in a stripper's kitchen. It's just me and a computer and a hot girl and I talk. And that's awesome. Other places have like studios and shit. Like when I did the Sklar's show, when I did Sklarbro Country, they have a studio down in Hollywood that I had to go to and park. I actually had to fucking park and go there. It was like, what? And then you go upstairs, you got to meet like 12 people and sit in an office chair and drink something out of a water cooler. And then you go in and sit around a table with people. Fuck, crazy. Because it just doesn't seem like that's the nature of this medium. It should be, I mean, not in the backseat of a fucking car, but I mean, it's what we're doing is kind of I guess we're the nascent show, really, when you think about it. Everybody else has progressed and done their thing, and we're keeping it indie with Mike Schmidt in a fucking stripper's kitchen. But so she gives me the address of where to go, and her show is like way down by the fucking 10, which is fine. Again, I don't give a fuck. I'll go anywhere and do anything. But at the same time, it made me blanch a little, and it was in a skyscraper. So she's like, you're on the 10th floor of some building. I'm like, oh my god. Well, I can think of nothing more creative than getting on the 10th floor of a building. So then she writes me and she goes, hey, you just need to let us know what your topic is on the show. And I wrote her back and I said, wait a minute, I pick my story? And she goes, yeah, you pick your story. It has to be 10 minutes long. And I'll let you know that a lot of the people who come in, they just read from the page. And folks, I'm not going to fucking read from a page, but at the same time, if I don't read from a page, how am I going to fucking follow 10 minutes of beats? 10 minutes, that just seems ridiculous. I mean, to me, anyway, and again, because all I do is fucking yammer, and that's fine. So I wrote her back, and I'm just like, oh, okay, that kind of caught me off guard. I didn't know that I got to pick my own topic, and it's just 10 minutes? And she's like, yes. So I said, all right, well, as soon as I know, you'll know. And then I set upon worrying about it forever because I couldn't figure out any story I had that was 10 minutes long. And here's my favorite part of this story. I said to Lily, I'm really freaked out about this Storyworthy thing because I don't know what story I can do that's 10 minutes long. And Lily names 8 stories immediately that I could do in 10 minutes. And I went, oh yeah, oh that too, yeah, that, oh my God, yeah, you're right, oh that'd work too. And she goes, you have them, you just have to do them, you just have to figure them out. It's easy for you. And then she shoved me out of her door and closed it, slam. And I said, okay. And then a few more days passed, and I forgot completely everything that Lily had said to me. And I could not think of a story to tell. And I wanted to bother Lily, but she was off in Seattle, and she was taking her clothes off for people, and I'm like, I can't bother her again because she told me those 8 stories, and I feel like a dick. So I wrote Christine, and this is like 3 days before the appearance, and I go, look, I'm really sorry I don't have the topic to you yet, but I'm really in my head about the 10 minutes and trying to figure out that, and I just don't know. And so she wrote me, and she's like, it's no problem. As soon as you know, let me know. And then she says this, yeah, it's really hard to do the 10 minutes. She goes, I know what you do. Because I said I do long form storytelling. She goes, yeah. She goes, what you do, I'm sure is easy for you. The hard part is making it a 10-minute story. She goes, I do the moth all the time. And that's where I learned to tell a story in 5 minutes. And that's the real art and the real hard part of it. And I think we all know that I read that as what you do is fucking easy and what we do is really hard. And I shouldn't read it like that, but that's exactly what I read it as, because she's like, yeah, what you do is just, you do your thing. But the really hard thing is putting it in 10 minutes and putting it in 5. And technically that's true. But is it better? I don't know. But it doesn't matter. It was enough for me to get in my own fucking head and then be even more mad and go, well, fuck, do I even want to go and do this? Then why do I put these arbitrary guidelines on myself? I'm an idiot. I'm stupid. So then I decided on the story to tell. And wrote her, and she was really accommodating and friendly and nice. And then I sat down and I tried to write as many of the beats of the story out as I possibly could. And then I went there, and when I told the story, you'll hear Storyworthy. I'm not going to tell you what story it was. But when I sat down and I told the story, it was, I get to their skyscraper, and I have to check in at the desk. And this guy walks me up, and they send me up to like the fucking 15th floor. And I walk in, and there's all this fluorescent lighting. It's just this track lighting, and there's guys, white guys, in like shirts with ties. And I'm like, what? This is awful. Like it was just creepy. And it's not, because that's how they function and that's how they do it. And that's how real people do their thing. I don't. I just fucking come here, and Lily's enough to let me, she's kind enough to let me in her house and to do my thing the way I want to do it. But other people, they actually have to record in a place where there are professionals, and that's great. But we go into this like weird conference room, and it's me and Christine's on my left and Hannes is on my right, and I have a microphone, and they said, what we're going to do is we talk up top. We don't introduce you. And then we introduce you, and your mic is on, and you just tell your story. And then afterwards we'll talk. And I thought I would be in a separate room, but I'm at the table with them while they're having their interplay and their banter and they're going back and forth. And here's the best part. They're talking. I'm sitting there and there's a producer in the room who doesn't give a fuck. That guy, he was a nice man and I met him and he was totally cool afterwards. And he was like, you're really funny. You know, we had a couple other shows you might be right for. But during the recording, he laughed twice in a 45-minute show. And he was like checking his phone. Like I could see him. I'm looking right at him because he's across from me. And he's just like looking down, looking at a clipboard. I mean, it was just fucking so sterile. And that's the way it should be. I guess that's a radio show. Or that's the way things are done. I don't know. But it was so antithetical to the way I do things. And then when they said, and so then Christine is like, you know, and our guest today is, literally holds up the same piece of paper from Podfest. His show has been called the funniest answer machine you'll ever get. Made me laugh. And because then nobody knows the fuck I am, so you have to introduce me like that. And then they turned it loose on me. And then I started to tell the story. And then I'm you know how I get. So I'm trying to spin it in on itself a little bit, and I'm trying to reference them, and that's shit that you can't do. They just want a fucking story. So I just closed my eyes and talked. So when you listen to Storyworthy, I'm sitting at a table with these three people just, you know, fake laughing. They're being very kind and nice and pretending that what I'm saying is interesting. And I have my eyes closed and I'm just telling the story. And then afterwards we talked and we had a good time talking and it was fun, you know, but it was just such an odd way to do things. It was so weird. So that's why, you know, I've talked to Lily and I've talked to Mex and I'm like, you know, I've got to find a way to just kind of tell stories and not get sidetracked by dead giraffes all the goddamn time. And it's just an experiment. You know what I mean? It's just a way to, because there's different ways to do this. Because then I did another show called Podcast Squared. And it's a show about podcasts, a podcast about podcasts. And it was an interview with this guy, Andrew, who's a nice guy. I met him at Podfest. And he asked me all sorts of questions about the medium and how to do it and what to do. And I said the things that I always say, where I said, you know, the thing I like best about it is you can do whatever you want. You know, if I want to talk to you guys for 20 minutes, I can. If I want to talk for 3 hours, I can. I think that's kind of the highlight of this whole thing. And you guys are indulgent enough to let me do whatever the fuck I want, which is really cool. And that's why it's so awesome to have a fan base that's willing to do that. But then, you know, now I'm trying to streamline it now where I'm like, well, just tell a fucking story. Because again, I haven't been here in 2 weeks. And I told Lily, I go, well, look, I just got to get the story out. I need to get it out. And here we are again as I'm not getting the story out. That, you know what, that's going to be my show from now on. It'll be the show that doesn't get the story out. It'll be like the anticipation show. It'll be the ketchup show. What was that show? There's a show about ketchup where they anticipated everything. You are so half-lidded and tired. Poor Lily. Every time I come here now, she's so sick because she's just straining herself with this burlesque festival and everything else that she's got going on. She was in Seattle for 5 days. Yeah, I feel awful that I subject her to be here and work, but she has to. All right, so, you know what? I have to tell you this. Fuck this. Yeah, that's right. You can't fucking put me in a corner. My name's not Baby. Although nobody put Baby in a corner. So I bet my name may be Baby. My name very well could be Baby. If you're not putting me in the corner, my name is Baby. July 9th, I started working out at the gym. I didn't want to start working out on July 9th. I have to say this because that makes sense. I have to tell this because, you know, this happened before. Look, I like to do a linear show. Everything I do happens in order. If you go back to the beginning of this show, every single story I tell happened in linear order of my life. So the first thing that ever happened when I was born is I bought Steve Perry lunch. And then everything else happened thereafter. All the little kid stories, those all happened, like, those are real stories that happened to me as an adult. All right, so fuck. I can't do this because it's in my brain. You know why? Because I'm mad because I was supposed to talk about it 2 weeks ago. All right, so here's the thing. Karen bailed. I wanted to get fuckable again. I told you guys that on the show. And I'm like, dude, I got to lose weight. I got to do something. I got to do something with my fucking life because I was just sitting in my house eating candy and buttered toast all the fucking time. And I'm like, shit, I got to fucking do something. Do anything at all. So, and I may have trod this ground before. If I have, I apologize. So I'll just go through it really quickly. I bought all of these training sessions like 2 years ago. And did I tell this about how I bought the training sessions and I thought they expired and I had to go and check? Fine. July 9th, whatever the fuck. There you go. We got through it. July 9th, I found out I had them again. So I went in to just talk to the guy at the gym. And then Jeremiah was like, dude, you need to do a workout while you're here. Let's talk about training. And I'm like, I wasn't planning on it, but all right, let's do it. So they took the calipers out and they measured me for fat and all that nonsense. And I had to go push-ups and sit-ups and I had to go press, push iron around and then do a jumping jack and I had to do a wall sit and they timed me and it was all that bullshit. So they do that to know where you're at right away when you walk in. And then I'm like, well, I want to start training. He goes, well, there's a guy named John. Great. Hook me up with John. So John's the guy I train with. And so I started training with John in July. I started going 2 times, 3 times, 4 times a week. I started to do a lot more cardio. I started to lose weight. As you guys know, you saw things unfold. Everything started to change. And I was happy, and that was good. And I was at the gym. And I fought through every obstacle at the gym. I fought through old people who would use the equipment and not fucking clean up after themselves. I fought through the guy who lifts in jeans and wears cologne. I fought through all of that, folks. And I still go. I still try. And I still have sessions left. So I'm not done. I will tell you that I'm not done. But I tell you this for a reason, because I had a goal when I started to lift. I had an arbitrary goal. Everybody has goals, and a lot of the time you can just say things like, "Well, I just want to feel better." Fuck that. I wanted to look better. I wanted to get, as you know, vascular and yoked. That's what I wanted to be. And I didn't care when it happened. I didn't know how long it was going to take. I wasn't sure, but I did also have a sub goal, and that goal was I knew I was heading to Milwaukee on October 30th. For the show in Green Bay. I knew I was going to be on a plane that day. And look, I knew I was flying to Austin and Seattle as well, but I was choosing my final plane flight, the flight that I had scheduled. I had 3 flights scheduled, okay? I had Austin first, Seattle then, and then, of course, October 30th, Milwaukee. So that was the last plane flight I had. And look, flying fat is depressing. It's fucking terrible. It's awful. But I knew I'd be fat anyway. In Austin, I'd be fat. And I'd be fat even from the Milwaukee flight, but I wanted to be less fat. So I had a goal in mind, folks. I weighed in at the gym on July 9th, and I weighed in at 341 pounds. That's where I was at, which seemed weird to me because, like in 2008, I wrote a blog called 340, which was the heaviest I'd been since I had had my surgery. And I was so depressed and bummed that I was like, and it's so funny if you read that now, it's on my website. You can actually go to the Rocky with a blog and read it. First of all, it's great writing. It's amazing because I wrote it. Second of all, if you read it, you'll see that I was like, all right, time to get back on the horse. Let's do this. We're going to make this happen. And then, of course, I didn't do a fucking thing. I did nothing at all. I went to the gym a few times, snapped a couple of photos, and then that was it. I was out. And that's because of me and a lot of other things at my house and all sorts of bullshit. And I don't want to pass the blame around. It all centers on me. It was my fault because I did not put forth the effort that I was supposed to put forth. So then, when I started to do this on July 9th, I said, I have a goal. Again, vascular and yoked. Which I will tell you this, folks. I am halfway there. I am not yoked. Not yet. Certainly not yet I am yoked, or I'm not yoked. But vascular, pretty close. And you can ask Lily, who laughs at me every time I look at my forearms, and I'm like, oh, yeah. But you know when they really look good? You know when my forearms really look good? When I put my shoes on. Because I have to hold the tongue of my shoe and then the back of the shoe, and I have to pull them on like that. And you can see right now. Look at that. Even look at that vein. Holy God! Yeah, yoked. So that's when I look best, when I'm putting my shoes on, folks. So it's true because my forearms, because the way I have to grip the shoe and then pull it. Yeah,
dynamic tension.
Yeah, you're good. Look at it. You can see it right now. Look at this. Look at that.
You're into that.
I am. That's what I wanted to be.
I'd fuck me.
I'd fuck me so hard. Goodbye, horses. So, horses, we didn't mention them earlier. Yes, we did. We had a giraffe who made horse noises and had to get a bullet in his fucking head. That's a lesson to all you jungle animals. Be yourselves. So my goal on July 9th was, I said I was going to lose 100 pounds by the time I flew October 30th. Which is a lot to lose in 3.5 months. But I thought I could do it. And as you know, my program started with not eating. With some eating mixed in with some specialized throwing up. I was learning how to do all of that stuff together. You got to make it work for you folks. But for the first month and a half, I barely ate. I ate yogurt and bananas. That's basically it. And then maybe oatmeal and pineapple. Not a lot of protein, but then I was starting to eat at my work. So finally, after everybody started to yell at me about metabolism and you got to lift and you got to eat protein and whatever. Fine. So I started, and that was always the plan anyway. After 6 weeks, I was going to start eating and incorporating more food and vitamins and stuff. So I started to eat chicken, spinach, things like that. Anyway, the bottom line is, folks, October 30th came along. And that was my weigh-in day. That was the day to find out exactly where I was at. And I had weighed myself along the way. There was one point where I had lost 40 pounds in 49 days, which was great. And I was like, well, that's a pretty good pace. I could actually maybe pull off this 100 because I had another 49 days left. And I'm like, if I could lose another 40, that'd be amazing. But then that was when I started to eat. was that day on the 49th day because I had lost 40 in 49 days. And I'm like, all right, now you can start eating and incorporating vitamins and protein and bullshit. So I did that. And October 30th, I showed up at the gym. And I was getting on a plane the next day. No, I was getting a plane on the 30th. I apologize. It was the morning of the 30th that I went in. No, it was the morning of the 29th. No, who cares? None of this ever happened. So anyway, so I went in and I talked to John. I'm like, look, let's scotch the final workout. Let's just fucking do measurements and all that bullshit and figure out where we're at. So he did. He measured everything. We measured arms and fucking vascularity. We didn't measure that at all. How great would that be if you could? Guys, I really wish there was a video because Lily has her head in her hands and she's like her eyes just like, oh God, stop talking. Just please stop talking.
That's not it. My head hurts.
I know you're ill and you're sick, and so I'm here trying to entertain. You know who I am? I'm Patch Adams. That's who I fucking am. Yeah, I am. I'm in the fucking death ward of the hospital trying to make the one woman who's gonna die laugh, and it's not gonna work. Dude, when I walked in the fucking door today, Lily's got, she's got white shorts and a black thong, which I'm like, all right, well, this is going to be a great show. And then we go over to the sink. She get me a fork, and what was it, a chair you dropped on your foot? What was it you did? She dropped a chair on her foot. And I looked down and like, it tore the skin and there was blood. And I'm like, oh no. Cause then I knew, now I got to make this wounded woman laugh. And then even worse, she like pulls her foot out and like now, I want to take a photo of that and put it online.
Oh, good.
On top of her foot, it's like a golf ball, a blue golf ball. Like it's totally swelled up, it's bruised and it's torn and it just looks fucking nasty. It's so bad. But then having right when we walked in, I'm like, I've got to do a show for this woman. It's like if you went to do a show and on the way in the bouncer just hit people in the head, like gave them hematomas and they had to fucking try to recover them and laugh at your jokes. It wouldn't fucking happen. So Lily just, again, from being congested and sick and tired and anyway, but then she drops a chair on her foot and in my head I'm just like, I can't Patch Adams this fucking chick. She wants nothing to do with it. I've had a clown nose on the whole time. All she wants to do is fuck me. It's like brutal. So I weighed in. I'm with John. We did the measurements. I will tell you this. I'm down 7% body fat from July 9th.
Nice.
Yeah, you don't have to lie.
No, that's awesome.
It's not bad. But the bottom line is, folks, I weighed in at 341 pounds on July 9th. On October, this is important. It was October, because I flew October 30th. No, I flew the night of the 29th. So it was the 29th that I weighed in. It was the 29th that I weighed in at 278 pounds.
Very nice.
So I lost 63 pounds. Yay! It wasn't the 100 I wanted to lose, but to lose 63 in 3.5 months, that's okay, right? It's a little over 20 a month. It's actually 21 a month. Well, and then the other half month. Oh my God, it's less 20 a month. Let's do the numbers. Let's get the math done, folks. So I just wanted to share that with you because a lot of people have been like, oh my gosh, where are you at? Where's your progress? And I try not to weigh in all the time, because then you're just a psycho, you know what I mean? And then you're like, I weighed 291 yesterday. What am I going to weigh today? Well, not much difference, not really. So you got to wait a couple of weeks and you got to do it that way. And also you just fucking change your life. You can't sit there and just go, all the time, well, I'm going to lose this weight super fast. And no, you just have to realize that this is your life. This is the way it is. So weighing yourself all the time is just fucking stupid. And also eat what you want, do what you want, do whatever you want. It's not about fucking starving yourself or ruining everything. In the beginning it was. Certainly eating was for the weak in the beginning because I felt that I needed to kind of get off running. You know what I mean? Like I needed to lose a lot quick. And then after that I could start doing it normally, like lifting and cardio and fucking eating and incorporating that and whatever. But who cares? But I shared this with you now. So everybody asked. So it was important to me to tell you that I weighed in on the 29th and I lost 63 pounds. So that's where I was then. Before I went on vacation. I went to Wisconsin to do a show. Now, immediately when you go to Wisconsin, you gain 7 pounds. It just happens, folks. You don't want to. It just happens. Got on a plane. My buddy Andrew took me to the airport, which was very nice of him. I took it, and I actually ate that night. I was like, dude, I'll buy you dinner. And I'm still weird about eating. So I said, hey, I'll get you dinner if you want to take me to the airport. And Andrew said yes, and then I tried to talk him out of dinner. Like I'm like, dude, I could get dinner for you when I come back to town. We have more time to catch up or something. Because in my head I didn't want to eat. And he's like, no, it'll be cool. Where are we gonna go? So we went for sushi. I brought him for sushi. We ate. He dropped me off, and I can tell you this trip, no airport drama whatsoever. I fucking walked in, I got on the plane, I slept. And I landed in Milwaukee. Well, I apologize. I landed in Dallas first, and then I had a layover there of like 2 hours, and then landed in Milwaukee, and it was fucking perfect. There was there was nobody sitting next to me on the Dallas flight. It was gorgeous. It was a perfect airport experience. And then I get to the airport, and our friend Jill is there to pick me up. And I walked down. She was there. Very nice. You know, and I told her I got to pick up a bag. So we went downstairs, grabbed the bag. And I was staying in a hotel in... I didn't stay in Milwaukee this time. Because, again, you go to Priceline, and they put you somewhere. So I was in the Holiday Inn Harbor View. That's right, folks. I'm very fancy. And if you don't think that I called ahead to make sure that I would have a harbor view, then you don't know me very well. Because there is nothing more glorious than the view of the harbor in Wisconsin in November. Oh, my Christ. Lighthouse in the distance. Constant smell of fish sticks being cooked. So amazing. So Jill takes me to my hotel, and she's like, well, what are you doing today? I go, I have no idea. What are we doing? I forced her to fucking take me somewhere. So we went and had lunch somewhere. And I'll tell you this. Oh, dude. We walked down to her car, and there is a harbor. Like, there's actual water. And I kept hearing splashing, and I'm like, why aren't there waves in the harbor? She goes, that's fish. I said, what do you mean that's fish? She goes, it's fish. They jump out of the water. There's jumping fish. And I go, there's no jumping fish. That's ridiculous. And as I'm saying that, I'm looking past her, and I see a fish leap out of the water. I literally was like, like I gasped, and I made wide eyes, and she could not stop laughing. She's like, you are an idiot. And I'm like, what? And I go, there's no jumping fish in America. That's like an African thing, right? Isn't that like fucking in the middle of a pond somewhere in the Serengeti? Because, I mean, fish swim. They don't fucking jump. And she's like, well, look around. And sure enough, all these fish are leaping out. And in my head, I'm just like, well, yeah, that's because they want to get out of Wisconsin. They're just trying desperately to do anything they can to get out of this godforsaken state. Look, I love Wisconsin. But yeah, the fish jump. And I'm not kidding. I thought jumping fish were literally like overseas, like that sort of, like monsters. You know what I mean? I don't know if monsters is a strong word, probably. But just not something we had in America. I thought, because there's flying fish, and I've seen those YouTube videos where that guy gets a fish in the face and he's in Florida riding on a boat or whatever, and all the fish attack, they come jumping out. But I didn't think in Wisconsin they'd be jumping. And you always hear the fish are biting or the fish are jumping. I thought it was a phrase. And I got to tell you something, folks. If I thought the fish are jumping was a phrase and they're jumping, good Lord, if the fish are biting, I'm not going anywhere near the water. I'm going to wind up getting a chunk taken out of me by a porpoise or something. Fuck that. I don't know if they have porpoises in Milwaukee. Look, I don't know what the porpoise is in Milwaukee, quite frankly. So Jill mocks me then for 4 hours because I don't think fish jump. She tells her son. She tells everybody. She's like, oh, he didn't think fish would jump. And he made this stupid face and he gasped. I'm like, great. I'm a fucking pussy now in Wisconsin. Thanks. But I swear to God, I didn't think they leaped out of the water at you in 3D. I don't like my fish in 3D. I like a 2D fish. That's what I like. Dredged in flour and delicious. That's the 2Ds I like in my fish. That's a lie. I don't even like fried fish. I like raw fish. I like a 1R fish. Raw fish. I'm stupid. All right, so Wednesday we went out. I'll tell you this. Jill took me to where she lives. And she lives in this like artisan town, this quaint... I'm waiting for Stephen King to write a story about it. It's one of those fucking joints. The entire town looks like it should come with a train set. You know what I mean? Like when you put a train set up and then there's hedges and then there's the old mill and then that's what this fucking joint was. It's all, I think they had 2 artisan popcorn stores, like that sort of thing. Because I guess it's a tourist town for the harbor or whatever, I suppose. But we went and had like lunch at this Mexican joint. And by the way, here's the name of the Mexican joint: Beanies. And again, the mascot is a jumping bean with a sombrero on, so that's the way they can get around the racism part of it, I suppose. I'm surprised they didn't just call it ay-ay! You know what I mean? But they probably didn't know how to spell it. And the sign's not big enough for all the eyes. So we went there for lunch, and and actually a friend of Jill's was working there as a cook. She was real nice, came out and said hi. But then we split, and we're walking to the car down Memory Artisan Lane, or whatever. I don't know what the fuck it was. Just this literally Wistful Boulevard is where we were walking, and they had a chocolate shop called what was it called? The Chocolate Chisel. That's what it was called. And they make fancy chocolate. So Jill's like, you want to go into the Chocolate Chisel? I'm like, yes, of course I do. Who are you talking to here? I'm on vacation now. I can do this. So we go into the Chocolate Chisel. And they had like all sorts of fancy. Like, we looked at this display case, and they had like a chipotle cream fudge, and they all those different things, all the fancy stuff. Peach and a mango, and then they had a thing called the Elvis, which was a chocolate bonbon with banana and peanut butter inside. Oh, folks. Tell me I didn't order that immediately. And then they had a caramel apple one. So we're looking, Jill and I are looking at chocolate. And this guy floats out of the back room. I mean, on just winged feet. Hey, everybody! It was like Fred Schneider of the B-52s in an apron. And he just comes out and starts talking, because they had ice cream too, and he starts lecturing us on ice cream and who wants to taste the blue raspberry, and then he's looking at all the chocolate, and we get his name, and I should tell you this, I loved him because I'm so used to going into places of retail that just fill with the sullen and the angry who don't want to be there, or they're supposed to be doing something different with their life. This guy, this is like what would happen if Willy Wonka fucked a female Oompa Loompa. They would have this guy as their kid.
Oh my God.
Because he loved chocolate and he loved to talk and he practically did everything but break into a song. I don't like the look of it. I was waiting for him to do it. I wanted it so badly. So Jill and I are looking at one another, and I go, I love this guy, and she's like, well, he loves you, and I'm like, I don't think that's true. But then, sure enough, he did love me. He was vibing me big time. It was great. I mean, because again, he was a nice guy, but I think he does that to everybody. It wasn't just me. I mean, look, I'm good looking. Fuck, I'm 278 these days. I'm looking great, or at least I was in town. But he came out to show us all the chocolate. His name was Austin. And he was just the weirdest dude because he was so gay and like so over the top gay. And I kept denying to Jill, like, he's not gay. This guy's not gay, but he totally was. It was brutal. But he's talking about the chocolate as if it was his children. I mean, it was so amazing. And then he's talking, and I will say this about him. The one thing he did do was he wanted to talk and he wanted to engage in conversation. So we did, and we were talking, but he never let me win the conversation. Which you have to do if you're talking to a customer or a person, or also to somebody who's clearly better than you at conversation. And I don't mean that in a mean way, but it's like he would make a joke and then I would say something and I would kind of make a joke about it, which was also funny or maybe even a little funnier. And then he would try to top it with another joke. And I'm like, dude, you got the job. You're Austin the Oompa Loompa. We don't need you to fucking compete with me. It's fine. Stick to the realm of chocolate. I want to hear everything you have to say about chocolate. But when we start talking about, because he told me, he said he was from Belgium. And I was like, well, that makes sense that he likes chocolate. He goes, oh, man, when I was in Belgium, I worked in a combination coffee house and tanning salon. I said, that's fucking ridiculous. Those people in Europe are crazy. And he's like, where in Europe? And I said, in Belgium. And he goes, no, Belgium's a town. It's like 2 exits up here on the freeway. Ha I thought Austin, the gay guy, was from Europe and had some world experience. No, turns out he's from Wisconsin, 2 exits up. And Jill's just laughing at me. So we were like, all right, you know what? Let's pick out some chocolate. So we did. We got his recommendations. He told us about the caramel apple and how they use there's a citric acid in it. And it's crisp and oh my God, he had every description possible. And we bought a sack full of chocolate. And then we basically went back to my room and did nothing, like hung out, because she had to go pick up her son from school. So I'm like, well, when are you gonna go? And so we killed some time. We watched Days of Our Lives. I can tell you that. Yeah, sad because that's how exciting I am on the road because she watches Days of Our Lives and she talks about it on Facebook all the time. So I'm like, all right, I gotta see what this is all about. So I started watching Days of Our Lives and I came home from my trip and I actually set up a season pass for it on my TV now. Dude, do you know that there was a priest who got raped on that show by a girl who filmed it, and then he accused another girl of doing it, but it wasn't that girl who did it. But it turns out that, so then Father Eric he's the guy who got raped, all right? So he blames Jesus and then this other girl. Well, the girl who raped him is getting married, and he's going to marry her to this guy, and nobody wants to go to the wedding because they all think that Kristen, I think was her name, and she's terrible. And he's like, no, Kristen's a decent person. So then at the wedding, this one chick finds a hard drive that has, because apparently Kristen filmed herself raping Father Eric, and she had it on the hard drive, and then this girl found the hard drive, and then at the wedding, she put it on in front of everybody, and everybody in the church saw Father Eric getting raped by the bride. It's amazing, folks. Now I'm getting ahead of myself because none of that had happened while I was in Wisconsin. That's all happened since. And if you're taping Days of Our Lives, I apologize for not giving a spoiler alert.
Oh my Christ.
But Jill was just laughing at me because I'm watching it and I'm just going, wait a minute, who's this? Why is this? How come nobody likes her? And why do they like this person? And the thing is, I was teasing Jill because she loved Father Eric. Because, again, dude, have you ever watched soap operas? Have you, Lily?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
The Luke and Laura.
All right. Well, the thing is, they are all written for 50-year-old women, okay? Because all of the women on the soap operas look like regular women. I mean, sure, they're made up and they're coiffed and they got good hair, but they all look like they could be normal women. And all of the guys walked off of a fucking calendar, every single one of them, and they all want to fuck these hot milfy, these these normal looking women. And it's just so written for those people. Even Father Eric is hot. That's what I was teasing Jill about, because I guess Father Eric, when he got raped, he woke up without a shirt on, and she was like, oh, and she on Facebook, she posted, Father Eric, Mmmm. And I was like, is that his last name, possibly? Is that his last name? Because if it is, that makes sense. Otherwise, you're drooling over Father Eric, who isn't really Father Eric. He's not really a father. He's an actor, and that's fine. I get it. But every single one of those dudes is like that manicured beard that's only like it's a 2-day stubble, but so they made it a 2-day stubble, like they shaved it into a 2-day stubble. They all, oh my God, everybody dude looked the same. It was brutal. But it didn't stop me from getting invested as I watched it. Enjoying the fan club. I didn't join the fan club yet. I'm going to. I'm waiting to hear. I've applied. I'm going to see if they approve me. I don't know if they have a fan club. Friday, I'll tell you this. I was on the computer. We were getting ready to go on Thursday. I'll tell you this. I was getting ready to go on. This is so stupid, and you're going to mock me, and that's fine. I was getting dressed, and then Jill came by, and I was dressed. I let her in the hotel room, but I didn't have my shoes on yet. So I'm like, oh my God, you're not going to believe this. So I made her watch me put my shoes on with the vascularity. I'm like, oh, look at my forearms right now. God damn it. And she's just staring. I know she's just like, the face I made when the fish jumped out of the water? That's the face she made when she saw me putting my shoes on and going, look how great my forearms look. She's like, oh my God, you are a psychopath. But she's listened for 6 years, so she already knows that. We were on the computer, and I had to do, because I had the podcast and I had to update stuff. And then Thursday, people write me, and she was in the room. And I was like, I got to check Facebook before we split. And Jimmy Pardo posted that he was going to be at Zany's. And Mike Toomey was going to be working with him. And I was like, whoa. And she said, what? I go, Jimmy's at Zany's in Chicago, and he's with Mike Toomey. And I must have made like a sad face or something, like a child's face. I said, that's amazing. I said, I haven't seen Mike in like 8 years. I certainly haven't seen him work. And I go, and Jimmy, Jimmy's just a machine. And there was a moment of silence that hung there. And Jill goes, well, would you want to go to that? And again, it felt like I was sitting on Santa's lap. And I just turned, I'm just like, what? And she goes, well, would you want to go to that? Would that be fun for you? I said, that'd be amazing. She goes, all right, we'll go. I said, are you sure? I mean, we got to drive all the way to Chicago. It's almost 100 miles. And she goes, no, if you want to go, that'd be really fun. I would want to go because I want you to have fun while you're in town. I said, okay. So Friday, she picks me up at the hotel to go to Chicago. For sure, she doesn't know those guys at all, but she's willing to go just so I would have fun. It was crazy. And so we're driving. I actually drove to give her the fucking, I said, look, I'll drive the Magic Stratus and make sure it has gas in it. So I'm driving, and I said to her, I go, hey, I actually have to call Jimmy to see if he can get us on the list. She's like, you don't have to do that. I said, why? She goes, well, I bought tickets online last night.
Wow.
I said, why? I know these guys. I could get us in. She goes, well, the whole point was to surprise them, right? And I didn't even... Yeah, I wanted to surprise them, but I felt calling them and telling them I was in town was going to be a surprise enough. But she's like, no, if you're going to surprise them, you got to just show up. That's going to be great. So I was stunned, and I said, okay. Because Jimmy's a special event. I mean, that's not a cheap ticket. She picked them both up. We get to Chicago, and I had said I didn't know what time we were going to get there because, again, I didn't want to get caught in rush hour traffic. She was making an effort to let me have fun. I was like, well, I don't want to make her sit on the fucking freeway. So I said, let's leave early. So we did. We left fairly early. And I said, if we get to town, we can go to dinner somewhere. I'm sure that I can find a place in downtown Chicago that I'd want to go to. I said, what would you be up for? And she's like, I don't care, wherever you want to go. Well, I was looking at places around Zany's. And, there's Lou Malnati's Pizza. And I figured, bottom line, we can always go there. We can get Chicago pizza, and that'll be good. But I wanted to try to go to, like, a good restaurant. I wanted to go to the place called Girl and the Goat. which is Stephanie Izzard opened up. She won Top Chef. So I checked online. No tables for 3 weeks. So I wasn't going to get in there. Then I wanted to go to Tobalabampo, which is Rick Bayless, who I've spoken about on here. It's his famous restaurant in Chicago. And same thing. They had no reservations for like a week. But in the same space as Tobalabampo, Rick Bayless has the Frontera Grill, which is his food, but a different version of it, like more of a Mexican street food version of the food that he makes. So I know it's ridiculous, but that's how it works. So I called them, and I was shocked because the maitre d' from Ferris Bueller's Day Off answered the phone. And he was snotty to me, because I said, hey, what's the story with reservations for Tobalabampo? He's like, oh, we couldn't accommodate you, sir. It's a Friday night, and as a matter of fact, we couldn't accommodate you for the next 3 Friday nights. I'm like, all right, I'm just checking. I said, well, what about Frontera Grill? What are the reservation policy? He goes, there are no reservations, but people will start lining up outside at 4 o'clock. I said, what time do you open? He said, 5 o'clock is our first seating. I said, and people just line up outside at 4 o'clock? He goes, yes, they do. And in my head, I'm like, sure they do. I said, okay, so what time do you recommend I get there? And he goes, sir, they could start lining up at 3. They could start lining up at 2 o'clock. It's a very popular restaurant. And I was like, well, I'll see you soon. And so I Googled it, and we were in the car, and I found it on the map, and it wasn't far from Zany's, just like 3 miles or so. We pulled up at, it was 3:50. We got into Chicago. We made our way downtown. I pulled up outside of Frontera. There's 8 people in line already.
Wow.
At 10 to 4. And it's cold, by the way. It's freezing in fucking Chicago. And I'm wearing not a coat. I brought a coat, but I didn't wear it to Chicago because I'm dumb. I didn't think I'd be outside very long. Oh, except for standing in line for an hour and a half to try to get a fucking seat at Frontera Grill. But Jill was so great that she would go there with me, so we went. And we got in line, and she smartly wore a coat, so I'm freezing. And they came out and they gave us a buzzer. Then the lines advanced. We went and we got a table, and we ordered food that was so good. It was so fun. It was magic. I know I use that word sometimes, but it was just great being with Jill and then going to this restaurant, which I'd wanted to go to for a long time. And the fact that she was just so accommodating. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, let's do this. Yeah, let's. There was not a no uttered the entire week. It was great. So we sat there and we ate, and she let me order. She's like, I don't know anything about this food. Get us stuff that's good. So I ordered her some ceviche, which is like a raw fish thing, and because she went to sushi school with me last time.
That's right.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna introduce her to some ceviche, and it had some habanero in it because she likes really spicy food. So I got that, and I got a trio of street food, and we got guacamole, and it was so great. It was so fun, and also, I love the vibe of a city. So we were downtown, and it's all the people from downtown who are coming in to eat, and then they're drinking at the bar, and we're there eating, and it's the hustle and the bustle, and it's being alive. I'm up at Harborview, I'm watching fish jump out and make faces at me, but here I'm in the middle of a goddamn city. It was great. So we were in there for like 2 hours, and we split to go to Zany's. And we went to Zany's, and there was a line outside. We were in line. There was only like 8 people in line right when we got there, 8 or 9. And we just wedged in right behind them. And I heard Jimmy laugh. It was funny. I heard Jimmy laugh at one point, but I was like, oh, is he going to see me in the fucking line? That's going to be weird. But he didn't make his way out front. And I started to tell Jill about Zany's, because here's my history with Zany's. I used to play there all the time. I used to MC there, and then I started to middle there for a while. But I wound up on a Saturday night. They had 3 shows. And I missed the first show because I was late. I walked in the door. And Martine is the guy who runs the bar, and he's the manager, and he's like, Bert wants to talk to you. You need to call him in Mount Prospect. And I was like, fuck. So I called Bert, and I spelled out why I was late and why there was a problem on the freeway, and I just talked. He let me talk. He never interrupted me, and there was complete silence. And he goes, okay. He goes, well, just do the 2 shows tonight. And I go, I'm guessing I'm fired. He goes, no, do the 2 shows tonight, and then we'll see you tomorrow. That's fine. So they paid me. They did not prorate me. They paid me for that show, paid me for my week. I've never worked there since. And I stopped trying after a while. You know what I mean? Especially when I moved in 97. I haven't tried since 97 to work there. Maybe I could convince Bert now. Who knows? But that happened in 94. And so the next 3 years, I never booked anything there. I don't know, 95. So it was the next 2 years. Oh, fuck. I forgot to, oh, dude. Ugh, idiot. I should tell you this. Thursday, we went back to the Chocolate Chisel. and we bought different chocolate from what we bought on Wednesday. And then Friday, before we went to Chicago, we went to the Chocolate Chisel and we bought chocolate for the trip because I'm like, look, I'm on vacation. Why not? And so she actually looked at me on Thursday and she goes, we got to come back here every day, right? And I go, yep, that's exactly what we got to do. So we went Friday to the Chisel before we went to Chicago, went to Frontera, then we get to Zany's. And the reason I was so excited about Zany's is, like I said, I used to work there, and Zany's has all the photos on the wall of the comics, and they keep them up. But again, I haven't been there in almost 20 years. So I told her, I go, there's a good chance my photo's on the wall still. And I was excited about that because it would show that I was a comedian. Does that make sense? Yeah. And that I'm still doing it. Like if I was returning as a mailman, certainly I don't mean to offend mailmen out there. Blank the Horny Mailman or Sandra D. Sanchez or anybody else out there who are mail people. You're all wonderful people. But I mean, if I came back, if I had been a comedian and then I had proof of it on the wall there and then I was coming back as a garbage man, it would be really depressing. But to know that I was coming to town and I had a show on Saturday, but I was coming Friday to see my friends and hang out and I still was a comic, it meant something if my picture would have been on the wall. So I told her when we were outside, I go, there's a chance I'm on the wall in there. And in my head, I was like, please, that would be so great if I was. And she goes, well, I'm going to look for it. I'm going to find it. I go, I'll look too. So we got in and we were able to sit. There's actually good, Zany's is really, you're right on top of everybody. But we get to sit at the comedy desk, which I call it, because there's this one that has a shelf in front of you, but it's not a table, but it just has a tiny, and you can put your drinks on it. It's for me, best seat in the place. So we got those seats, and then we got up and we started to look around to find my picture, my headshot. And she took one half of the place, and I had an advantage because I knew what I was looking for. I knew what I looked like in my old headshot. She didn't. So we're looking, and every time I would see a multiple headshot of somebody, like there was a comedian named like Bill Gorgo, and I would see two of his headshot, and I go, that's one more space where my head isn't. You know what I mean? Like the odds were decreasing, and again, every inch of the walls is covered with headshots, but it's open. It's been open since '78, and I haven't worked there since '95. In my head, I'm like, dude, there's no fucking way your picture's on the wall. So we're looking, and I can't find it, and Jill's looking for hers. Or for mine, and she's looking for her headshot. You know what? Weirdly, her headshot was on the wall. Good for her. That's why she wanted to go. She's like, check it out. So I'm in the back of the restaurant or the back of the club, and I'm looking. There's a ton in the back. So I'm like, well, maybe they showed me above the bar or something just to get me out of the fucking way. And I'm looking, and I don't see it. And then I look over, and I see Jill, and she's tiny. She's like 5 feet tall, but she's directly in the center of the club, and she's looking to her right, and I see that directly above her head is my headshot framed on the wall. And here's the advantage I had. My headshot is interesting because it's not just a standard smiling. I have a gun to my head. I have my fingers like a gun pointing at my head. And what they did is there's another comedian I had my right hand pointed at my head. There's another comedian in his headshot. He has his left hand pointed as a gun to his head. So they put us right next to one another. So it looks like we have our corresponding guns to our head. So the second I saw his next to me, I was like, oh, that's why. Because I couldn't imagine why my fucking headshot was still on the wall after 20 years. It made no sense. But that's why. So here's what I do. I see it, but I know Jill's going to find it any second. So I sit there and I'm just quiet, waiting for her to find it and discover it on her own, right? No, not at all. I look and I see Jill standing there and I see mine above her and I go, Jill, look up! Because I'm 4. I'm 4 fucking years old. And she looks at me and I go, look up. And she looks right up and she sees it. And she's like, oh my God. And she was like so happy and she took a photo of it. And then she looks at me and she goes, why did you tell me? She goes, I would have found it in like seconds and I would have screamed. It would have been the greatest. And I'm like, yes, I know, but I'm stupid. I'm dumb. I'm just so happy to see it myself. I'm like, look, it's right there. Oh my God, I'm there. I'm still on the wall. I'm validated. I'm good. I did this before. I've done comedy. I'm a person. Such an idiot. When in reality, she would have found it in 10 seconds, but I couldn't wait. Oh, look. Oh. So, yeah, and I look, I'm a kid in the picture and she took a photo of it. She like took the picture of it. And it's so funny. I knew exactly what I'd written on it too. Because I used to write it on all my headshots back then. Sorry, I killed that guy. It was on all the headshots whenever I worked in a club. Even then, folks. So we saw that, and I felt so fantastic. Like, because it proved that I still was in it. And in my head, I was a survivor. That was 95 that went on the wall, man. So that's 18 years ago, and I'm still here. It was such a great moment for me. So we went and sat down, and the place is filling up, and people are right on top of one another. Like I said, it's a small room, but it's good for comedy. You know, it's a deep room though, which I don't care for, but who cares? And then coming in the front door, I see Brian Noonan with our friend Chris Barr, and I'm like, I go, and I'm so stupid again. I grab Jill's arm and I go, "That's fucking Brian Noonan. Brian Noonan's here." And she's like, "From your show?" And I go, "Yes, from my show." And she goes, "Didn't you do his radio show?" I go, "Yes, last time I was in town in Chicago. Oh my God, I can't believe he's here." Because now not only am I surprising Jimmy and Mike, but now I'm going to surprise Brian. So Brian comes in the back of the room by where we're sitting, and he's coming in with Chris, and he doesn't even see me. And they're getting their coats off, and I go, "Jill, I have to go over there. Do you mind if I go over there?" She goes, "No, that's great." So I walk over, and they're getting their coats off, and I'm just standing there. I'm waiting. And Brian takes his coat off, and he turns around, and he looks at me, because Brian's 6'5", he's a big guy. And he just turns around, and he sees me, and he just goes, "Holy shit!" And I just put my hands out like, "Yeah, that's right, I'm here." And he goes, "God damn it, what are you doing here?" And he fucking just hugs me. He practically lifts me off the ground. And I fucking just hugged him, and I'm like, "Yeah." And Chris, too, I hug him. I haven't seen him in forever. And they're like, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I'm doing a show in Green Bay." He goes, "I knew you were. I saw it on Facebook." And I go, "Well, this is my friend Jill, and she wanted to come down." And she didn't really want to come down. She came down for me. But I still hung it on her. And she walked over, and I introduced them to her, and we talked a bit, and it was just, he's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're here. You look amazing." And he looks amazing. He's lost 160 pounds. It was just, again, I'm seeing my friends and Zanies. It was so fantastic. It was the best feeling. And he's like, "Well, here, sit down." And I go, "No, Jill and I are over here, but we'll hook up after the show." And he's like, "Great, no problem," because it was getting crowded, and I had the comedy desk. I can't give up the comedy desk. So I go over with Jill, and I'm sitting there, and I just have a stupid grin on my face. And I know I do. I can't take it off my face. And out of the corner of my eye, she's looking at me. And I look at her, and she just smiles at me, and I go, "What?" And she goes, "You are so happy right now, aren't you?" And I went, "Yeah, I kind of am." And she goes, "You can just see it." She goes, "It's like you're glowing. You're so happy." And I go, this whole night has been perfect. And I haven't even seen Mike and Jimmy yet. So the lights go down, and then an opener went up, comedian. She was funny. Erin was her name, I think. She brought up Toomey. And I haven't seen Toomey in, again, like I said, 8 years easy. So he goes on stage, and he just starts killing from the jump. And I laugh. I mean, I have to laugh because they're funny. My friends make me laugh. So he makes me laugh, and I laugh. My laugh is a distinctive laugh, as you know. And he freezes on stage for just like a second. And he tags his joke, and I laugh at that. And then he laughs because he knows I'm there now. He knows. And then he does the rest of his act, and he kills. He just fucking, because he's a machine. He's so good. And I was so happy I wanted to show them off to Jill. Because I've talked about, on the show, I've talked about Mike Toomey and Pardo and Noonan so many times. Noonan was a bonus. I couldn't believe he was there. But to show off Mike, because you can see Jimmy, you can find his work a lot. But Mike, you can't. And I really wanted her to, I was like, "Look, that's my friend. He's my great friend. He came to my wedding, and we went on tour all the time. He would bring me as his opener. Like we were on the road constantly together. He's my good friend." And I just, again, I'm a child showing off the things that I'm proud of. And so we watched Mike, and he killed, and Jill loved it. And every once in a while, like, I'd be laughing, and I'd look at Jill, and she's looking at me just because she was so happy that I was happy. You know what I mean? It was such a, because it never happens if not for her. She made it happen. It was the best night I've had in years, and she made it happen by even suggesting it and then being willing to go.
Fans are cool.
She's the best. So we sat and we watched Mike, and then Mike came off stage, and he disappears into the back, and I look over at Noonan, and I see Jimmy talk to Noonan, and I don't say anything, and Jimmy goes up on stage, and he just fucking destroys. I mean, he's Jimmy. Kills it, and I laugh, and then he laughs, and then he starts doing bits that I know are for me, like all these asides and these ridiculous references, and I'm it's just like when I used to be on the road with him, man. It was exactly the same, and he's just killing. And the thing is, he can make the most obscure reference, but people laugh just because of his cadence. Like, they don't even know what the fuck he's talking about, but I know what the fuck he's talking about, and I'm dying, and he kills. And then he comes off stage. And people are meeting him. They all go up to Jimmy and they're like, they want to take his picture because again, he's fucking Jimmy. And there are podcast fans there. So I'm with Jill and we're talking after the show, and a guy comes up to me and he hands me a business card. It doesn't say anything. He just hands it to me. So I take the business card, and it's Mike Toomey's business card. So Mike gave it to him to give to me, and on the back, it said, all right, again, there was this stupid thing from a cartoon. You remember the Spider-Man cartoon? It was a million years ago. There was an old one, and the Green Goblin got into a fight with him, and the Green Goblin goes, he attacked him on Halloween, and he threw jack-o'-lanterns at him, and he goes, and I can't do the voice, but this is the thing, is Mike Toomey can do the voice perfectly. So it used to be a thing we would always say, which was, Happy Halloween, Spider-Man! It was so stupid from a cartoon. So he hands me his business card, and the guy goes, flip it over. I flip it over, it just says, Happy Halloween, Spider-Man! Because it was the day after fucking Halloween. It was perfect! So I laughed like an idiot. And then there were some people who wanted to meet me, which was because they were Never Not Funny fans. Yeah. So they came up to me and they were really nice and, shook hands, and they loved me, and they liked the 40-Year-Old Boy show, and they loved me on Never Not Funny, and really cool people. And then Toomey comes over and he's just like, what are you doing here? And he hugs me, and it was funny. Jill told me later, she goes, I wish I could have filmed you hugging your friends, because when Brian turned around, she said he looked like he had found gold, like he was rich, because they were so happy to see you, as happy as you were to see them. So Toomey comes over and he hugs me, and he hangs out, and then Brian and Chris come over, and we're all sitting off in the corner, and Jimmy's still meeting people. And Noonan looks at me and he goes, Jimmy Pardo. He goes, Pardo comes up to me and he just goes, is Mike Schmidt here? Because they heard me laugh and all. And he goes, Toomey went upstairs. He told me that Mike's here. And he's like, yeah, he's here. So he knew before he went on stage that I was there. And then, of course, then he fucking started doing goofy references for me. So then he comes over and he waved at me and he's just like, I'm going upstairs. You guys. So we all went upstairs to the green room. And it was me, Brian, Chris, Mike, and the opener, Aaron, and Pardo, and Jill. Because I even asked, I go, is it okay if Jill comes? Like, of course. So she came upstairs.
Poor Jill.
Exactly. You know what I mean? To just sit there and have to watch 5 comedians banter.
Well, she walked into a 1995 comedy reunion.
That's exactly it.
Must have been the weirdest.
But it was her. But you know what? She wanted to do it. It was so great. Yeah. But you're exactly right. Because again, we all have a shorthand. You know what I mean? And so we get up there and we start talking. And Jill sits, I'm on the couch, and Jill sits on the arm of the couch. I go, sit on the couch. She's like, I'm okay. She was kind of on the periphery, but she was just watching it happen. Yeah. And every once in a while I'd look over and I'd catch her. She's just looking at me because she knew how happy I was. And she was just happy that I was happy, because that was her whole deal. She's like, if you come to Milwaukee, we're going to have a good time. It's going to be fun. And so the 5 of us just hung out waiting for the next show to start. We hung out for 45 minutes talking shop, talking comedy. And I see Jimmy here, but I haven't seen Mike in so long, and Brian, and we're all just, it was just literally, I was transported back to 1995. I was just actually 93, because Jimmy left for LA before that. So in 93, I'm there with those guys, and we just talked comedy, and I felt important. I felt like, because again, they're my friends on top of that, but also I was a comedian and I was there for that. And my picture on the wall, it was just the perfect night. And again, it doesn't happen not for Jill. It doesn't happen. So we hang out, and then they have to do their second show. And I wanted to stay for the second show, but I wasn't going to make Jill stay, because we had to drive all the way back to Milwaukee. We had a 100-mile drive ahead of us. And so we went back downstairs at 11 o'clock, said goodbye to Mike, said goodbye to Jimmy. It was just great to see him. And I walked out with Brian and Chris. And then we went up the street to Burton Place, which is a bar near Zany's. That, as a comic, when you were done at Zany's, you went to Burton Place. And you hang out there and you drink and you have fun. So we were going just because we needed to use the restroom. We're like, let's just go to Burton Place, and just to go. It's funny. We could have used the restroom at Zany's. But I wanted to go to Burton Place. I just did. So I wanted to make that walk. So we walked up the street, and I wanted Jill to see that walk, that thing that we had done all that for so many times, and go to Burton Place. And we hung out a little bit in there, but then we split. And Brian had to go back. He had to get up early for his daughter in the morning, and so we said goodbye. We got in the car and split, and I drove home. She even said to me in the car, she's just like, was that okay? Was that what you wanted? I go, that was perfect. It was perfect. I can't describe it any other way other than to say it was perfect. She was there. She had a good time. Frontera was amazing. I'd never been there, and I always wanted to go. and then to surprise me with the tickets, and then I then to surprise Mike and Brian and Jimmy, and then we all hung out. It was just it was the fucking best, because I never see my friends anymore, so it was just perfect. And then my show was Saturday in Green Bay. Well, it's almost anticlimactic. You know what I mean? It's like, because Friday was so amazing, I almost, in my head, I was just like, well, I don't even want to bore people with my show. You know what I mean? It was just, I just saw Jimmy and Mike work, and I hung out with Brian. Nobody wants to fucking see me. You know what I mean? This weird thing. And also, ticket sales were a little but I knew that I was going to see cool people. Like KC was going to be there, and Tom Packner was coming. These are guys who've seen me before, and they support the fucking show. And I'm like, well, I can't wait to do a show for them because I'm proud of the new stories and stuff like that. So I was excited. But also part of me was just like, man, last night was so great. How am I going to top it by performing? You know what I mean?
I do.
It's like I have to go to work now. But I still, but it's work I love, but it's still odd. So sure enough, we had to leave for Green Bay, and I was alone during the day. She had to do some stuff. She had to work and hang out with her kids and stuff. And but then she picked me up to head to Green Bay. We got to town, like an hour before the show. Mike Yoder, I can't say enough about Mike. Mike is the guy who runs the Green Room Lounge in De Pere, which is just outside of Green Bay, and he's been so nice and so accommodating. And I could call him up today and go, hey, can I be there tomorrow to do a show? And he'd say yes. He loves what I do, and he's willing to give me a venue to do it in. And those are great things, and I can't thank him enough. So we show up a little early, and Jill and I walk in, and Mike is there, and we meet Lori the bartender, and I decide I've got to go learn some jokes, because I was supposed to learn jokes that day in the room, but I kind of got distracted because I was still kind of floating around and having fun thinking about the night before. Yay! And then I'm like, hey, you got to concentrate, dumbass. So on the ride up, I started I tried to think of some jokes, but then I went in the green room, and I always tell myself I got to think of jokes, but then and also these are new stories, so it's a weird situation. So show starts. I get on stage, and I'll tell you this too. When I was packing to leave, the day before I split, which was the 28th, the day before my weigh-in even, I was packing, getting some early packing done, and I went to Ralph's in the middle of the night at 1 a.m, and I grabbed 6 license plates of chocolate, 6 big Hershey bars. I'm like, well, it's 1 for each flight, and then 1 in the room for every night that you're there. When you're not doing your show or you're not going to the Bear game, because those 2 nights were exempted from license plate of chocolate. And I've got them in my hand, and I'm standing in the candy aisle, and I'm like, and I had that debate. I'm like, why are you getting 6 chocolate bars to bring on the road with you? That makes no sense. Well, because I'm in a hotel room and I won't be able to go anywhere. Well, yes, you will. And I had that fight, and I'm not kidding. For 15 minutes, I stood in the candy aisle at Ralph's, and then I put them back, and I left, and I went home. And I tried on clothes, and I put on old pants. I put on old jeans. I just pulled out old clothes. And one of the things I pulled out that I tried on was I have a Guns N' Roses baseball jersey that I bought when I was like real thin, and we went to the Guns show, Karen and I saw it, and I was like, and I wanted it so bad, but I'm like, I never buy anything like that because I was too fat. I would never fit in things, but I tried it on and it fit. And I was like, I'm going to get this. I think it was $100. Because I was writing on a show at the time too, and then it fit. It was just a perfect storm, folks, of buying a Guns N' Roses baseball jersey. So I pulled it out of the closet and I tried it on, and it fit again. And I had pulled out old jeans too, and what's funny is my old jeans, they're even big now, because the weight I've lost weight in just different places. So I actually have the belt that I have now. I have it on the 7th notch, which is the last notch, and I have to have it on there, or else my pants will fall down. Even the jeans that are like I could probably get into a 38 jean now, 38 jeans, maybe even a 36, but because the 40s that I have slide, so I have to wear the tight belt with them, but that's all I have is 40s. I don't want to have to go buy new jeans, so I just basically hope the belt holds them up. But they look like hobo clown pants. Like I said, it always looks like I can stand there and like rock back and forth, and the pants will, like a bell clapper, they'll clap on my legs. But I was trying to figure out what I was going to wear on stage in Green Bay, and I was looking for clothes and looking for shirts, and I had to pack, a bunch of stuff. And then I tried on the Guns N' Roses baseball jersey, and I'm like, fuck that. I'm bringing it. That's what I'm wearing on stage in Green Bay. So that's the danger of losing weight, folks. You actually think wearing your Guns N' Roses baseball jersey on stage is a good idea. Because then when I put it on and I'm in the fucking club, I'm like, why are you wearing this on stage? Why? Because I almost didn't wear it. I'm like, just wear a t-shirt. And I'm like, oh, that's even worse. Just fucking wear it. So the show starts. I get on stage, and of course, I make fun of the Guns N' Roses baseball jersey for like an hour. I mean, I just can't stop talking about it. So I'm there, and the crowd. I should tell you, because I knew how many tickets I had sold, but the crowd was much bigger than that. So I was like, well, they must have had some walk-up sales, which is fine. And before the show, I had met people outside. I met Tony and Tom, who was there, and he brought Mark from Manitowoc or Manitowoc. And I know that because Mark, I asked Mark where he was from. Mark had a few beers. Shocking, from Wisconsin. But I asked him where he's from, and he said Manitowoc. And I said, you mean Manitowoc? And everybody laughed because I'm correcting the guy where he lives and what his name is. And he goes, no, Manitowoc. And I go, no, actually, you know what? It was Manitowoc until the mid-'80s. And then they changed it because the Wham song came out and everybody was going, Manitowoc. Manitowoc.
Oh
I said that on stage and made myself laugh. So I'm on stage and the show starts. I'm on for like 10 minutes, and then a couple comes in late. And I didn't really say anything to them, but they went and they sat down. I actually, you know what, bullshit. I did say, I was like, hi, good to see you. Thanks for coming in. That's a nice brooch. I think I said because she had a big circle brooch on. And they sat down. And so then I started to do a bit, and this woman yells at me. Just says something, blurts it out. And so I turn around and I have to deal with her. She's the one who was late, by the way. I go, great, you come in late and you decided to fucking interrupt the show? You're a class act. And but I wasn't mad. I was never mad. But I wasn't going to let her do that. So I started dealing with her, and I made fun of her a bit. And then I went back to do my act and talk to people. And then I actually took a poll. I go, how many people here have no idea who I am? And it was half the crowd. Because the thing is, Mike Yoder has started this comedy room there, and people trust it now. So they'll come out and see whatever they have on deck. So half the crowd easily had no idea who I was, but they paid to come in and see me. There was a group of 6 women. Okay, and they were sitting there, and they did not.
Because I know the stories you're
Yeah, exactly. So they don't know who I am.
Oh my Christ! Holy fuck!
Yeah.
I'm so happy right now. Oh fuck! I wish I would have.
Well, that's funny is because again, the opening is just me talking, as you know, and so and they're dealing with that, but they're laughing hard at it. But also, because there's no structure at all in the open. I mean, it's just ridiculousness. And then the woman starts giving me shit again. So I blast her, but nothing mean. I mean, but I'm having fun with it. And then I turn back to the crowd, and there's a guy named Craig in the front row who did not know who I was. He was an improv guy. And so I keep talking to the 6 women, too. And I'm like, you guys, I can't wait until you just like climb on each other's shoulders and put on an overcoat and sneak out of here. Like, I can't, whatever you're going to do. But they laughed. They dug it. Everybody dug it. It was great. I was killing. And then the woman starts yelling again. And I destroy her. Again, but nicely. And then she says something again. And then she says something about waxing. She goes, talk about waxing. And the weirdest thing is I looked at her and I go, wait a minute, you don't know who I am? And she goes, no. And I go, you've never heard my show. And she goes, no. And I go, and you want me to talk about waxing? Because that's all I talked about on my show this week was waxing. She goes, really? And I go, yeah. I go, what do you want to know? I go, because right now I am clean, baby. My balls are fucking clean. Is that what you're asking? I go, because I went and got waxed and I told the story about it this week, and there is nothing down there for you to care about. And she just kind of like froze, and she goes, oh my gosh.
Oh shit!
I said, well, you're the one who wanted to talk about my cock. And she goes, I said talk about waxing. And I go, what about waxing do you want me to talk about? My cock, I got it waxed. And I turn around and look at everybody and I go, new people, I'm very sorry, but it's true. I have to tell you that, why not? And so then she kept saying things, and I just fucking would have. And so finally, she said something. I forget what it was, but she wouldn't. Again, we're a half hour in now, and she still won't stop. And then I just I took her apart. Just why are you? Dude, somebody, you're with her, because there was a guy with her and he wasn't saying a word and he wasn't laughing at any of it. And I was like, dude, put your cock in her mouth so she shuts up, please. Honestly, I go, I'm sure she's used to it. It's Saturday night, right? She's got to be. If she wasn't here, she'd be out with a cock in her mouth somewhere. It might as well be yours. And just do us both a favor. You'll get your cock in her mouth and I'll get her to shut the fuck up. I go, look at the stretch marks around her mouth. Obviously, she's used to it. Just fucking jam it in there now. I mean, and it went downhill from there. But it was all funny, And everybody else was laughing, and then finally there was a beat, and she was shocked. She's just looking at me, and she just goes, "You're mean."
Yeah, you're mean. Fuck off.
And I said, "Yeah, it took you this long to figure it out." And then I went back into my act and talking and stuff, and she shut up. She didn't say anything.
Finally.
So she gets up to go to the bathroom, and she actually crossed the whole room to go to the bathroom. And I didn't say anything because usually I'll say something if somebody gets up or whatever. It's fine. I actually challenged that guy Mark from Manitowoc to a fight. I dared him to come on stage and fight me. So stupid. So she comes back, and I don't even, again, after I'm done with her, I don't even notice her. If she's not talking to me, I don't even fucking look at her. So I do the show, and the show was fucking great. Everybody was so cool. They were with me and laughing, and that allows me to fucking spin off and have fun. It was just a great time, and it was a full room. It's a small room, but by people paying, it was probably 3/4 full. And again, it's a very small place, but I don't care. That's what I want. I like the energy of people being right on top of me and being able to do that and look them in the face. You know what I mean? It's just, it works for me. Even though I say I don't want to see anybody's face, I kind of deal with that very well. I like it. So the show ends. And I leave the stage, and then I come back out to sell shirts and CDs and talk to people. And I talked to Mike, and I said, there were a lot of people in there. He goes, yeah, a lot of walk-ups happened. And he hands me the money, and I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. I go, that's like half the room paid to walk up. And he goes, and he gives me a number. And he's like, it was this, but unfortunately now it's this. And he took lowered the sum by 2. And I said, well, what happened? And he goes, that woman wanted her money back. And I went, wait a minute. Why did she want her money back? He goes, well, she said that this wasn't what she thought it was going to be. I go, did she think it was a one-on-one conversation with me? Because that's the only fucking thing she could have thought it was. And I go, she watched 2/3 of the show, and she wanted her money back. And he goes, she watched the whole show. He goes, they just left. He goes, on their way out the door, they asked for their money back, but they watched you until you were done. And I go, and you gave them their money back? And he goes, yeah, I'm not going to argue with that woman. And it's not on Mike, because I would have given their money back too. Absolutely. Because if they would have come to me and said something, I would have gone, here's your fucking money, go. Because I've done it before. Yeah. But what pissed me off is that she stayed. That drove me crazy. If you hate it, get up and fucking leave. Take that walk of shame across the fucking room with your coat so I know you're leaving. You don't get to fucking stay and watch the whole goddamn thing because it was your fault. She came in guns blazing. She wanted to talk to me from the fucking jump. So for the first 30 to 45 minutes of the show, every fucking couple of minutes I had to deal with her, and I destroyed her, and with a smile on my face the entire time. It was not uncomfortable or mean for anybody. It was uncomfortable when I talked about my cock. There's certainly that happened when I talked about waxing, because I looked at the new girls even, and they were like, really? You're going to talk about that? And it was like, yeah, I'm talking about fucking everything, and stick around, because believe me, when you hear what I'm going to talk about later, you're going to go, oh, I wish you'd talk about waxing your cock some more. So the woman, that she got her fucking money back. And what was funny is then when I came out of the green room, the 6 new women were waiting for me. And I said, hey, hi. And they go, we just wanted to tell you we have not laughed that hard in years. And I was like, oh, well, thanks. And I met them all, and they go, really, that was the greatest. You were so funny from the beginning. Because we don't know who you are. They were really complimentary, and I loved it. I was like, thank you. It's nice. Because again, I have a fight in my head about whether or not people who don't know me will let me do what I want to do, or will care, or will like what I do. And that, 6 women from the Midwest see me and they're fucking into it. I think I'm close. I'm close. I don't know. I might be close. If they let me get away with what I got away with that night, I could fucking do it for monks and priests. I don't care. So they were really nice. They all waited to meet me, but they wanted to tell me, we have not laughed that hard. We come here all the time and to see shows, and that was the best show we've seen here. Thank you. They were so nice. And then I got to see our friend Rob Matsushita came, and I actually did Rob's podcast, which is available now. It's called 10 Minutes. God, I've done 3 podcasts since my last podcast. I said 2. Yeah. Rob Matsushita has a podcast called 10 Minutes About My Favorite Movie, or 10 Minutes About Your Favorite Movie. And then that's literally what it is. It's 10 minutes about your favorite movie. So I talk about Reservoir Dogs with Rob Matsushita for 10 minutes. After the show, he's like, well, you want to do this? We'll record, and some people can hang around, and they can hang out if you want. I said, well, I don't care. We'll ask people. So I said, you want to do it in the green room? And he goes, no, let's do it outside. So I go outside. It's fucking, it's freezing for me. It's like 38 degrees, and I have no coat or anything. I have just the Guns N' Roses baseball jersey, which, though it warmed my heart, did not warm my body, folks. But I went out and recorded the podcast, and our friend Jay hung out, and Tony's new wife, whose name escapes me, and I apologize, but she probably doesn't want me to say it anyway, because that was her first night seeing me. But she liked it. She claimed to. So we hung out. I did the show and froze my balls off. I'm sure you can hear my teeth chattering all through the goddamn podcast. And then I went inside, and there was Jill. I should say Jill actually ran out with a Propel for me while I was talking. She was just like this really, I mean, she's so amazing. But then the show ended and we went inside and there were some listeners hanging out and was like, hey, should we go, let's go eat something. So we did. There was a pizza joint right across the parking lot. We walked over. It was me and Jill. Our friend Casey was there, Casey Bills. Our friend Tom Packner, and he brought friends who I think were Tom and Greg. That's my guess off the top of my head. And then Mike Yoder came with us. And we ordered pizzas and cheese curds and garlic bread with cheese on it. And then they just put cheese on my face. I mean, it was just cheese. And I don't like a freestanding cheese, but I did eat a cheese curd because they're squeaky. They make noise. That's kind of fun. They're fried and then you bite them and they squeak. It's like eating a mouse. A cheddar mouse, cheese flavored mouse. But then they brought the pizza and I was like, I'm not, you know me, I'm not eating that sort of thing. And I ate like 2 pieces and I was like, this is the best pizza I've ever had in my life. And I wanted to eat all of it, but I didn't. I stopped. And then we went to take a picture before we split. And I'll tell you this, they were making fun of me because we were going to go to the Bears game and they're all Packer fans. So they're like, well, it's going to be terrible. You know that. And they go, just remember that Jim McMahon was a Packer. I'm like, shut up. Don't even tell me that. He's a Bear for life. It doesn't matter that he was a Packer. And then we go over to the pizza place, framed on the wall, a Jim McMahon signed Packer jersey. God damn it. Way to rub it in. So we went to take photos, and we took like 35 photos in this pizza place, and I've seen one of them. I took photos with a bunch of people. I've literally seen one photo from Green Bay. And then Jill and I had to drive back to because we had to be up early in the morning for Sunday because we had a thing planned. So we got home. She dropped me off at the hotel. Got up the next day, she picked me up. We actually went to a campfire with her friends. And I got to meet, a bunch of her friends, people that she knows, people that I only know through Facebook pictures. And I wore my bear jacket to that. And that was fun because people enjoyed telling me they were going to throw me in the fire. That was great. How's this guy even in your yard, eh? They weren't Canadian. Yeah, hey. There you go. That's Wisconsin. But I met a lot of her friends. And it was funny. She has a friend named PK. And PK, I saw her go talk to Jill. We were down because it was this house. It was her friend Dave's house. It was incredible. He has a place in Breckenridge too, but his house was just massive. In the back, he's got a lake in the back of his house, and then he's having a campfire and just this gigantic home and TVs. Just really, really great. It was and they were so hospitable. They were so friendly to me because again, nobody knows the fuck I am. But I showed up with Jill, so like, oh, that's Jill's friend. Cool. She cleared it with them. They knew I was coming. It was fine. And I was hanging out with Jill's husband, Tom. We were talking a little bit about skiing because he has a rotator cuff thing that he tore, but he said he should be okay to ski next year. But then PK, I see her go talk to Jill, and I actually heard her say this. She goes, is that the comedian? And Jill's like, yeah. And she goes, I want to meet him. And Jill's like, okay. So I went over and I wound up getting introduced to PK at one point. And what was funny is, because I don't know these people, so I'll just say hi, and I don't go in for a hug or anything weird like that. So when we were walking away, Jill's like, why didn't you hug PK? And I said, why? Because I don't know anybody. It just seems weird. And she goes, well, I told her you were going to lift her up. That's probably why she backed away and she wouldn't hug you.
That's funny.
And I was like, you told her that? She goes, yeah, I told her that's what you do. And I go, because she did kind of back away from me when I said hi. So because I never know what to do with people. So I was like, fine. But PK was super nice. And then we went outside and they're like, hey, you want to do a ski shot?
Oh, no.
And I'm like, I don't know what that is. And they pull out a ski that has shot glasses welded on them. And PK's like, you're going to do a ski shot with us. It's a Wisconsin thing. And I'm like, all right, I'm in. And then Jill comes out and I go, hey, I'm doing a ski shot with these guys. She goes, no, you're not. I go, what do you mean? She goes, no, you're not. Because I don't know if she thought her friends were going to try to get me drunk and then push me into the fire. I have no idea what it was. But Jill just gave me this mean look like, you're not drinking. Because she knows I don't drink. And she thought it was like peer pressure or something, like I was trying to fit in. I'm like, I'm a grown man. I can go ahead and have a ski shot. So they were going to use something called Red Stag, which is like a whiskey or something. I don't know what it is. But then they changed it out for Winter Jack or Apple Jack, which is a Jack Daniels. I don't know what the fuck. Again, I don't know what these things are. Just put it in a glass and I'll drink it. So I'm next to PK. They filled the shot glasses and we did a ski shot. They took a picture of it. All of us did a fucking like 4 people on the ski. And it wasn't bad. It really didn't have any of the warmth of like booze. It was okay. So we hung out a little bit, and then Jill was really beat because we had driven, and she had been getting no sleep, and she had to work actually Saturday night after we came back from Green Bay, the show. She had to go to work, drop me off at the hotel. Jesus. So she was beat. She's like, I'm tired. Like we were there for like a couple hours, and she's like, I gotta go. I was like, all right. You should just leave me because I'm getting along great with everybody. She's like, what? No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. So we went to Split, and then again, everybody's like, ha ha, Bears. And I'm like, yes, of course. And I shook hands. I was very nice and friendly to everybody and said, and I should tell you this, they had all the fucking Midwest food. Oh my God, dudes. Fucking deviled eggs, bacon wrapped water chestnuts, like nachos, beef. They had beef in a crock pot, like for beef sandwiches. Jill brought like 30 pounds of shrimp with cocktail sauce. I mean, it's just like all that food there, and it's just there to be eaten, and I'm staring at it. I'm like, I can't eat all this food. And then these old people came in, and they go, we brought homemade cookies. And they took the top off, and I bit one. I'm like, that's not a fucking homemade cookie. I didn't say it to the old people. I didn't want to piss them off. But clearly, they were not homemade cookies. They were like oatmeal and sugar cookies. Nobody makes those at home, ever. And they were too hard and flat. I was pissed. I can tell the difference between a homemade cookie and a regular cookie. I'm fat, all right? So I almost called them out in front of everybody. Hey, old people. But I didn't. So we went to Split, and we're saying goodbye to everybody, and I walk by, and there's PK, and I go, hey, PK, nice to meet you. She comes with me. I fucking just lifted her up. Just grabbed her in a bear hug and fucking lifted her up. She's like, oh, okay, that's weird. And I'm like, aha, I got her. And then I told Jill, and she's like, oh, Jesus, what's wrong with you? I go, exactly. So we split. And I'm greedy. I should tell you that, folks, because she wanted to go home and sleep. Like, she was going to drop me off at the hotel and bail, but that would have meant I would have been at the hotel by myself. So I finagled to go somewhere else. And I'm like, hey, take me, like, where do you watch the Packer games? And she said there was a bar that she went to called The Bridge. I said, take me to The Bridge. She's like, why do you want to go there? I go, just because. Basically, I just didn't want to go wind up in the hotel alone. So we went to The Bridge, and I met she had her friends there watching games, and I met Patty, the bartender. And it's so funny, again, it's the Midwest, so it's fucking hardcore drinkers. So I said, do you want something? And Jill's like, well, I guess I'll have a beer. And I said, all right, I'll get you a beer. So we ordered a beer, and then they went to me, and they go, what do you want? I said, I'll have a fruit punch. And again, it's just, I didn't even want to order it because I would sound like a fucking girl. I ordered a Coke, you know what I mean, just so I didn't look like an idiot. But then I was like, fuck it, just give me a fruit punch. I ordered a fruit punch at Zany's. I'm an idiot. But then the woman's like, well, let me make you my version of a fruit punch. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, that's dangerous. But all she did was she put Sprite in it with the juices, and it made it taste even worse. But we hung out at the bar for a little bit, and then finally I was, all right, because Jill could barely keep her eyes open. I'm like, all right, you got to go home and go to sleep. So she dropped me at the hotel. She bailed because we had a huge day Monday. We were going to the Bears game. And we decided we were going to go super early because we didn't want to, the traffic coming from Chicago to Green Bay would have been brutal. So we got up. Oh, I should tell you this, by the way. On Sunday, after we left the campfire and we left the bar, before we went to the hotel, we went to the Chocolate Chisel, and we got some more chocolate. And then Monday, before the Packer game, we were going to leave early, like 9 o'clock, but the Chisel didn't open until 10. So I said, well, we can't go until 10. She goes, all right. So sure enough, we got there. They were turning the sign from closed to open, and we walked into the Chocolate Chisel. And we bought some chocolate for the trip to Green Bay. Drove up, clear shot. Absolutely nothing in our way, and it was gorgeous. I was worried about it being cold. Dudes, it was fucking beautiful outside. It was like 58 degrees. We get to Green Bay, to her friend's house where we were staying. We're staying at John and Dina's house. And they took me in the basement. Have you ever been in a sports bar? Yeah, fuck them. Because their basement will crush any sports bar you've ever been in. They've got framed jerseys on the wall from like all these Packers. Like, dude, Packers from the golden era that taunted me. Bubba Franks. They had a Bubba Franks signed jersey. They had a Dorsey Levens signed jersey. And these are all framed on the wall. They had a Clay Matthews and an Aaron Rodgers Pro Bowl jerseys. Those were framed on the wall. They had cards, and they had dude, for their 20th anniversary, they have a replica Lombardi trophy. A replica Lombardi trophy. That was what he got his wife for their 20th anniversary. It's sitting on a shelf. And again, they had one of those bowling games, like in a bar that I used to play with my dad all the time, where you slide a disc on the bowling thing. They had a fucking Nintendo Punch-Out compilation machine. They had a pinball machine. They had 4 different jukeboxes, one that played 45s, one that played CDs. It was just this amazing playhouse and a wall-sized fucking television. And so I went and started playing pinball immediately because I'm a child. And she's talking to him, and then Dina shows up, and then they come downstairs, and I go in the other room, and I'm playing. I'm such an idiot. I'm 15. I'm pretending I'm 15. I'm playing pinball, and I'm playing Kiss on the fucking jukebox. All these, because they're my age. So they get all these 80s fucking metal bands, and I'm playing that, and I'm laughing. I'm laughing out loud when I'm finding songs. I'm like, aha, awesome, playing it. And then turning on and playing pinball, all by myself, by the way, because the grown-ups are in the other room. They're sitting around the bar catching up with one another. I'm like, woohoo, pinball, yay, Kiss. And then periodically I would come out and I'd go, I'm sorry, I'm a kid. I'm so dumb. They're like, no, please have a good time. And actually at one point I skipped back into the room just to be an idiot. So then their friend Debbie came over. So the four of them are there. And I walk out and they have a plate of, they have these cups of like blue, it looks like Jell-O. I'm like, why are there cups of Jell-O out? And they go, you've never seen Jell-O shots? I'm like, no. And I go, is everybody doing Jell-O shots? And Jill's like, no, not everybody. And everybody, and then Dina and Debbie look at me and they go, Jill did it. She did Jell-O shots. It's fine. And I'm like, oh, okay. I go, well, I want to do Jell-O shots. And Jill's like, you don't want to do Jell-O shots. I go, yeah, I do. Come on. And they had them in a cup. They had them in a cup, and you would put whipped cream on the top. And there's a way to eat them out of the cup where you like use your tongue to like pry them loose from the cup and then throw it back like a shot. Whatever they were. At least that's the way they were doing it. Or they had them in syringes, which you actually just shoot directly into your mouth. So I was like, well, fuck it. We got to do this. And so they're like, which one do you want? I go, you know what? Here's what I want. I go, John, get the whipped cream. Jill, get the fucking syringe. And I leaned back like in one of those mix 'em margarita in your mouth, whatever the fuck that is. And I said, just do them both at the same time. So Jill shot a syringe of Jell-O in my mouth while he did the whipped cream into my mouth, and then they took photos of it. So out there somewhere, there exist photos of me getting a Jell-O shot into my mouth with whipped cream at the same time. And then I sat up and I opened my mouth and I had like blue Jell-O all in my mouth, and I know there's a photo of that as well. And Jill's like, I'm going to post these. I go, I don't care. And she's like, really? And I go, I don't care. Post them. I look like an idiot. That's fine. We're having fun. More Jell-O shots. So I did like one more. And it's like, it was vodka and Jell-O. I didn't know, like, I thought it was something fancy. Nope, just vodka and Jell-O. And then we're talking and we're hanging out, and, you know, we decide we're going to leave for the game, and they grabbed the syringes. They smuggled them into the game. They brought Jell-O shots with us. And they wrapped them up, and we went. It was me, Dina, Debbie, and Jill. John wasn't coming. We get to the field. We park. You know, Dina knows exactly where to park. We park in somebody's yard. Because they do it. They charge. Everybody charges, and it's a whole community thing. And we walk to Lambeau Field, and I see Lambeau Field. I'm like, God damn it! I'm just this cathedral of football, and I'm wearing my Brian Urlacher jersey, Bears jersey, and I'm wearing my Bear jacket over it. And I was worried because I'm with women. I don't want to get somebody to take a poke at me. I didn't know what the fuck was going to happen. And they're all like, dude, there's going to be a lot of Bears fans there. Don't sweat it. It's fine. I go, yeah, but I don't want to align myself with them either. Who cares? We start walking through the parking lot, and the wind. Because Jill kept saying, no wind, no rain, no wind, no rain. Well, there's no rain, but the wind starts. And it's like 25 miles an hour in our face, and it's cold. And I have no gloves, and I got no hat. I put my hood up, and we went to a party. Like, Jill's friend was having a party, like a tailgating party. But they hadn't set it up yet, so we just went to the other side where Dina knew stuff was. There were bands. It was awesome. Dude, it was the greatest experience because there are live bands playing all over the place. You can just stop and watch. There's outdoor bars, outdoor grills. Everybody's selling food. And they're tailgating, too, so you can walk by and get that food, or you can just go buy food from these vendors. We walk across, and by the time we get to that parking lot, the wind has died down. And I should say I stopped. We were talking, and John, in passing, when we were in the house, he goes, I wish I had one of those The Bears Still Suck shirts. I was like, you don't have that? I thought that kind of came standard with every house in Green Bay. He's like, no, I want one. So we were walking, and I saw a merch table, and I saw the Bears Still Suck shirt. I go, fuck it. I go, wait. So I walk over, and I buy that for him, and I buy myself a hat, and I buy myself gloves, bear gloves and bear hat. And the guy looks at me and he goes, why are you buying this shirt with these gloves and this hat? I go, it's a long story. A guy I'm staying with, he was the Packer fan, whatever. It's fine. He goes, just seems strange. All right, fine. So I put it all on, and then we stop, and Jill gets a green and gold ring. They were, dude, they are serious. Dina's serious. She had earrings. She has an actual like green, and so does Jill. They have green and gold, like real rings, not phony rings, like with an emerald and I just amazing, all Packer stuff. I'm like, oh, what a waste. What a waste. Get a blue and orange ring. So we're sitting around doing Jell-O shots, talking at the house. I should mention this. And we made a bet. I made the bet in front of everybody. I go, we're going to make a bet on this game. And I was more gung-ho to bet when Jay Cutler and Lance Briggs were going to be active. But I said, you know what, I'm going to bet on this game anyway. Why not? So the bet was, if I won, Jill had to wear my Bears jersey. And I was going to take a photo of it and put it on Facebook. But if she won, I was going to have to wear her Clay Matthews earrings, because I still have a pierced ear. So I would have had to actually put in her earring. It's a Clay Matthews dangling earring. And then I would have to wrap myself up in a Packer scarf and a Packer blanket and sit on the couch and be photographed like that in front of all the Packer jerseys. So that was the bet. So we get to the field. We go over there and we're and all these dudes are just hanging out. And we're drinking beer. And I should say I actually drank beer. Like I bought, like Jill got a PBR because that's her beer, I suppose. And it was a big 16, like a 18 ounce or a 24 ounce tall boy. And so she handed it to me and I went to take a drink and she's like, why are you drinking that? And I go, because, why not? And she goes, all right, we're going to take a drink. I'm going to get a picture of it. So I did. I took a drink and she took a picture of me drinking a beer. She put it up on Facebook. And it's like bringing Wisconsin to Mike Schmidt and just me. And the best part of it is if you look at the picture, my eyes are squinting because I hate the taste of the beer. I'm like, ugh, I'm just choking it down. It's so bad. But we hung out. We had a great time. And then we decided to head for the field. So Jill and I go to the field. We left Dina and Debbie behind because they were drinking and having fun. But I wanted to get into the field and see what it looked like. So we walked around. I saw just all the statues and the history of the field. And we found our seats. They were amazing. They were in the Packers end zone. We had seat cushions. We sat down. And right when I walked up, we started taking pictures. We took a picture of us facing off with our fists like we were going to fight. And I took pictures of the field. And it was just Jill and I hanging out, having a great time. And then Dina and Debbie showed up. The stand started to fill up with fans. And people were giving me a bit of a hard time, but nothing mean. Nobody was mean about it. But they were like, oh, great, a Bear fan, all that bullshit. So then a party comes and they sit next to us. And in their party, there's one woman who's a Bear fan. And she's got an Urlacher jersey on, too. And they look, and her husband just goes, all right, you're sitting right next to that idiot. And she comes over and I'm like, ha-ha, yes. And so she sat next to me. And we sat there waiting for the game to start. So it was Monday Night Football. It was dark, and it was 55 degrees at kickoff. It was so gorgeous. There was no wind. And I should tell you, Debbie brings out the Jell-O shots, and she's like knocking those back, and she's eating popcorn. The weirdest thing is Debbie went and bought popcorn. This is a different Debbie, by the way. Remember the cat fight from before with Jill and Debbie? This is a completely different Debbie. This Debbie was wearing gold pants. She's like, aha, I got my gold pants on for the Packers. When she came into the stadium, no gold pants. I said, what happened to your gold pants? She goes, I took them off. It's too hot. I go, all right, here we go. But she had other pants on, of course. Yeah. But she folded those and she sat down because we all had some drinks and Jell-O shots and stuff. So right before the game started, she comes up with the biggest popcorn I've ever seen in my life. Like if you bought it in a movie theater, people would tell you to down in front. I mean, it was gigantic. And she walks by me and she's like, want some popcorn, and thrusts it in my face. So I just put my face right in it and I stuck my tongue on all the kernels and I pulled them up. She's like, that's how you eat popcorn. She went over and sits down. And I'm talking to the Bear fan next to me, and her husband is really cool, but he's a huge Packer fan. And I can't explain the atmosphere. It was electric. It was so fun. And the game starts. And Jill and I are taking pictures. And every time something good would happen for the Bears, I would stand up and cheer, and then I would just kind of like look around and then just sit down. Because I wasn't trying to, because again, I'm with three women. All of a sudden in front of us, there was a guy who was a Detroit Lion fan. And he comes walking up and he's like, you know what? There's a reason why I knew I hated this fucking 2-bit town and this piece of shit fucking stadium and fucking Packer fans. Because you know what? I was just down there now and I bought a hot dog and food and I'm holding it. And a fucking Packer fan saw my Lion hat and he just fucking hit my hand and knocked the food on the ground. Fucking asshole. And next to me is the husband of the Bear fan and he's eating a bratwurst and he just goes, bite? And handed the guy his hot dog. This guy's bitching and moaning and crying. He just goes, bite. I laughed my ass. I go, dude, that was so gorgeous. You have no idea how funny that was. So the game progresses. Good things are happening for the Bears. And every time something would happen, well, I should tell you this. On the first series, the Packers, they dominate. They like drive down. They're killing the Bears. And Aaron Rodgers, who's one of the best quarterbacks in football, all of a sudden they get close to the Bears on third down. They get close to the Bears end zone and they're third and goal. And he gets sacked and he goes down and he gets up slowly. And I see it, but I don't think much of it. Quarterbacks get dinged all the time. So he walks off. And so the Bears drive down. They kick a field goal and they take the lead. And then the Bears drive down and They score. They go up 7-3. They score a touchdown, and I stand up, and I look around at everybody, and they're looking at me, and I because they're waiting to see if I'm going to be a complete jag-off. And I clap and I cheer, and then I just turn around, and I look at other Bear fans and just kind of nod like, yeah, this is happening. And I sit down. And then the Packers take the field. And they go, now at quarterback for the Packers, Seneca Wallace. And I stand up, and I look around at all the Packer fans. Like, you do realize that that's an ominous sign, right? That you've just lost your Pro Bowl quarterback. He's not in the game. All right. And then I sit back down. And the game progresses, and the Bears are in it. And I can't believe the Bears are in it. And now I keep going on Facebook and posting stuff, and I'm taking photos. And the Bears lead at halftime, and I actually posted a photo to the crowd. And then I posted just a photo of the big C on the glove. It was just so stupid. And every time something would happen, Jill and Dina and Debbie would high-five me, but then Jill would look at me and just go, oh. And I go, you're going to wear this jersey. You know you're going to wear this jersey. But then the Packers would do something great, and she'd jump up and she'd be like, yay, yay. And I had to high-five everybody because that was part of it. But then the Bears started to take control of the game in the second half. And the fans around us were so bummed. Like they were, so I didn't want to be a jerk about it. But every time something good would happen, I would turn around. There was this group of Bear fans behind us, like 8 dudes. And I would just look up and I'd just point at them. And they would point at me. And I would sit down. And I would high-five the girl next to me. And I was just, and the Bears, my brother texted me the day after. And he's like, how much fun was that last night? I said, so much fun. Like maybe I never have to watch the NFL again. Fun. Because the only thing that tops it is me seeing the Bears win the Super Bowl in person. I mean, that's the only thing, because I saw them win in Green Bay in Lambeau Field on Monday Night Football when they weren't supposed to win. They were getting 11 points. I mean, everybody thought they were going to be murdered. And they win with a backup quarterback. Fucking ridiculous. So it gets toward the end of the game, and I'm nervous. We're all nervous, but I'm trying not to be crazy. And then the Bears run off this drive where they just fucking chew the clock up. And every time they're doing, I'm finally, I let loose. I've stood up and I'm with a couple of like, yeah, yeah. And they're just pointing at Bear fans and not rubbing it in, not being mean, but just cheering for my team and really excited. And as the time starts to tick off, the time ticks off the clock. And the Bears win. And the Packer fans are leaving. And I turn up and the 8 Bear fan dudes are they're hugging in a pile. And I'm like, I look at Jill and I go, I'm sorry. I'll be right back. And I just climb up 4 rows and I'm like, yeah. And I just dive into them. And we're just like, oh, fucking like, yeah. And we're fucking rubbing on it was just celebrating a great moment live. It was so fun. And as we're walking out of the stadium, and I was, again, I wasn't being a jag off because Jill and everybody was bummed. But every time a Bear fan would walk by, I'd just put my hand up and they'd high-five me. Like I didn't have to say anything. Or I'd just point at them as they walked up and just fucking high-five. And they'd just be like, Bears. It was so fun. So we're outside in that weather and celebrating and having a good time. And I've been outside now since 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're going home at 11:30. So we get to John and Dina's house, and we go downstairs, and we're on a couch. And we're trying to figure out the fucking, what couch. They had 2 bedrooms. Okay. And I was either going to sleep on the couch or sleep in one of the bedrooms because Jill had the downstairs room. But I didn't want to sleep on the couches because they had dogs. And when I say they had dogs, folks, I mean, if you look up dog in the dictionary, you would just see like a picture of John and Dina's house with these 2 looking out the fucking window because one of them looked like Chewbacca on all 4s. They were those gigantic, Newfoundlands, is that what they're called? They were they each weighed 125 pounds. No, yes, they are gorgeous. Oh my God, yes. No, not fun. Absolutely awful. I like spit, not dog spit. But you got one? You got it on the fridge? You're like looking around.
Where's my picture of Mo? I had one up here of my dog.
Dude, these 2 dogs were just, so I didn't want to sleep on the couch because they were going to just jump on me. And they were the kind of dogs that when they got close to you, you felt their steam. You know what I mean? And just their noses were wet. And so they'd put their face on you and you're just slick immediately. Oh, it was so disgusting. So we were trying to figure out the sleeping arrangements as we're sitting there talking, we're watching highlights of the game, and I hadn't eaten all day. Like we had split a bratwurst at the stadium, so I had Jello shots. That was like it. So I was like, do you have anything to eat in your house? And they made a Totino's pizza. I've never eaten anything so delicious in my life as that Totino's pizza because we've been out all day in the cold and I was starving and my throat was fucked up, and they brought the pizza down and I ate it. I'm just like, I was like, oh my God, it's so delicious. It's so delicious. It was so delicious. I used the word delicious, which I never use. And then Jill had a piece and I had a piece. And I'm holding a piece in my hand, and Jill falls asleep on this couch. And I did too. I disappeared. I went away. All of a sudden it's just dark and I'm asleep. I wake up with a piece of pizza in my hand, and Jill's up and she's like, ugh. And John is like turning the lights off. He was just going to leave us on the couch. And he goes, all right. He goes, well, I don't know who's taking the upstairs and who's taking this downstairs or who wants to sleep on the couch. He goes, but we're going to bed, and that's whatever you got to do is fine. And so we had to figure out the sleeping arrangements. And so Jill took the downstairs room and I slept on the couch, even though they took the dogs upstairs, thank God, or I wouldn't have slept on the couch. But so I slept out there, and I was covered. I had so much dog hair on me. Oh my God. It was because I'm shedding, all right, because I don't eat enough protein. I'm shedding, but these dogs, they beat me. They need more protein too, because it was crazy. Wake up in the morning, deciding when we're going to split. She has to get a shower. I got to get a shower. And we're talking to John and Dina. And it's funny. We're up in their kitchen and they bring out their shitty Halloween candy. So like I'm eating their candy. That's all I ate the whole trip. I'm eating fucking bowls of candy. Hershey, didn't matter, whatever they had. So we go downstairs. Jill takes her shower. She gets dressed. Then I take my shower. I get dressed and I walk out. And she's like, all right, are you ready to get out of here? And I go, well, not just yet. And she said, why? I thought we were going to stop and get lunch before we went. And I go, yeah, we are. But I think you're forgetting something. She said, what am I forgetting? And I just handed her my Bears jersey. And she looked at me and she goes, are you serious? I go, yeah, I'm completely serious. So she puts on the Bears jersey. And by the way, it's down to her ankles. I mean, it is huge on her. Because it's big on me now. So she's swimming in it. And she puts it on and she makes a face. And she actually smiled in the first picture. So I took a photo of her next to the Green Bay Packer jerseys. I took a photo of her in my Bears jersey. And then I took a couple more of her in the Bears jersey. I said, you know what? Hold on a second. And I went and got my Bears hat. And I got my Bears gloves. I said, put them on. She goes, you are kidding. And I go, no. And she goes, come on. You're not going to do that. I go, yeah, I am. You lost. You lost. And you know it. She goes, oh. She puts on the gloves. And again, she's tiny. Puts on the hat. Tilts it. And she looks super cute in the hat because all tilted to the side. And now she wasn't smiling so much anymore. She's got kind of a all right, whatever photo. So I took a couple of those. And I said, you know, you got to leave that on. And she said, why? I go, you're going to wear it to lunch. She goes, no, I'm not. I go, yeah, you are. That's the bet. She goes, the bet was that I had to wear it. I go, yeah, you have to wear it today, and we're going to lunch. And it just so happened we were going to lunch at Lambeau Field, home of the Green Bay Packers, because they have a restaurant there called Curly's, which is named for Curly Lambeau. And she's like, you're not going to make me do that. I go, yeah, I am, actually. It's going to be great. So we went upstairs. We hung out with John and Dina. And they were, again, super cool. I couldn't believe they let us stay at their house. And I when we crashed the night before, man, I was never so tired. I was just so worn out from cheering and being in the cold. And I was out. But then they were real cool. They said goodbye. And then, I said, hey, I'll be here next year. Ha ha ha. Make sure that pinball table is all revved up. And we left. And I drove. We went to Lambeau Field for lunch. And she gets out wearing the Bear stuff and just this sad face. We walked to the front, and they have statues. They have a statue of Curly Lambeau, who is this famous Packer and who the field is named for, and they have a statue of Vince Lombardi. So I said, all right, I'm going to get pictures of you by the statues. She's like, you are not. I said, yes, I am. So we go over to the Curly Lambeau statue, and there's all sorts of Packer fans around, and they're posing for pictures. So she has my Bears hat on, my Bears gloves, and my Bear jersey, and she walks over like with this really sad face and slumped shoulders, and she goes over to the statue, and this one woman goes, oh, dear. And I said, that's what happens when you lose a bet. And like 15 people went, this is because of a bet? Oh my God. And I go, yeah, it is. That's right. And she's like, just take the picture. And I go, oh, I will. And everybody's like, you are so cruel. And I go, yes, I am. And I took the picture. I looked like 8 pictures of her with Curly Lambeau. And she goes, all right. And she goes to take the hat off. I go, no. We're going to Vince. She goes, no. And I go, yeah, Vince Lombardi has to see you dressed like this. And we went over to Vince Lombardi. And those pictures are great because now she's just sad. Now she's just like, she's looking at the ground and more people are gathering around and they're just like, this is awful. And I'm like, yes, it is. And I took like fucking 8 pictures of her with Vince Lombardi. I'm like, ha, yes. You're dirt. And she's like, can I take this off now? And I said, yes, go ahead. It's fine. So she was able to take the hat and the gloves off and everybody's like booing, boo, boo. And I said, come on. And they're like, well, what would you have had to do if you lost? I said, I would have had to wear Clay Matthews earrings and a Packer blanket and scarf. And they're like, oh, all right, I guess you're not so bad. Yeah, exactly. So we went into lunch, and then she put on Facebook, eating lunch in a Bears jersey. Lost a bet. Just so sad. And then our friends are like, pictures, pictures. So I put up the fucking picture. I'm like, ha. And then her friends are like, oh, God. And the one dude's like, you almost smiled there, Jill. And I'm like, Jill, she smiled early, but by the end of it, she was not amused. But it was great. It was so fun. And then we left. I had to get to the airport, and we were hustling on the freeway to get me down there because I had to be at the airport by 3:30. So we got to town. It was like 2:45, and I said, "All right, well, we got to stop at the Chisel." And she's like, "Oh my God, of course you have to stop at the Chisel. There's no question." So we stopped at the Chisel to get more chocolate, and this time we just went with the greatest hits. Austin was there again, nice guy. Because we had seen different girls the whole time, like and Austin. I want to come as one of the girls, but why not? Because I'll tell you this: we walked in the night after the Bears, and there were these two women. And there was a woman who, when I had been there on Sunday at the Chisel before the campfire, or after the campfire, she walked out and she goes, because I had my Bear jacket on. She goes, oh, did you plan on buying anything here? Because if you're wearing that, you can't buy anything in here. And we all had a good laugh. And she's like, oh, it's going to be so bad Monday. I go, well, we're going to be there. And she goes, oh, I feel so bad for you. And I go, oh, we got to bet. It's going to be fun. I go, I'm a little worried about it, but we'll see. So we come in after the game and the Bears have won. And she comes walking out of the back and she goes, congratulations. I'm like, yeah, that's right. And I said, and she goes, did you have fun? And Jill goes, oh, it was so much fun, even though they lost. Like, it was so great. I go, at the end of the game, I just jumped into a pile of dudes. And Austin behind the counter goes, what's that about a pile of dudes? I'm not kidding. And then I go, well, it's a football thing, Austin. He goes, oh, never mind. And then we just picked out the greatest hits of chocolate. And Jill goes, you're taking those on the plane. I said, no, I'm not. You keep them here. She goes, no, take them on the plane. So I got an Elvis and I got a caramel apple and it's crisp and all that nonsense. And then I went to the airport. And didn't want to go. I won't lie. I didn't want to leave because 6 days is a long time to spend anywhere. I've done that before. We've gone on vacation and you've gone home for a week and you're like, well, this is going to be awesome. And by day 4, you're kind of like, I got to get the fuck out of here. What's happening? But I never felt that once the entire time I was in Milwaukee. I never had that happen on this trip the entire time I was in Green Bay. And it was because of Jill. Because she made a promise that I was going to have fun the entire time. And I did not think that was possible. But she made sure. She absolutely made sure. And whether we were having racist Mexican food in Wisconsin or gourmet Mexican food in Chicago, whether I was in a showroom performing for you and her and all of my friends and I guess fans or whatever, or we were alone in a hotel room and I was learning about fucking Days of Our Lives, whether we were at her friend's house eating childhood chocolate or we were with Austin and the Chisel eating gourmet fucking chocolate, and whether we were at a campfire surrounded by her lifelong friends or in a green room surrounded by my lifelong friends, the one constant was Jill. And it is so great. She was, she was the surrogate you. I talk about the inner circle. I talk about, and the wink and all that stuff. Well, she is a living wink from all of you to me. And she made sure that I had the best time in Milwaukee, and I can't wait to go back. You guys can get me at mike@MikeSchmidtComedy.com. You guys can be my friend at Facebook.com/the40yearoldboy. You can follow me at Twitter.com/the40yearoldboy. You can find our friend David Hernandez, who does all of the work for this show. Really, all the work besides Lily. She does all the other work. The work that Lily doesn't do, David does. He does all the artwork and the music for this show, including the promos that you always hear after this segment, including the new promo you're about to hear. When I saw it, I knew exactly what it was going to be. It made me laugh. And he sent me a letter apologizing. He's like, I'm sorry I made this choice, but it made me laugh. And I was like, that's fine. So get ready for that. You can be his friend at Facebook.com/DavidMexHernandez. And if you want to hire him or take a look at his artwork or his portfolio and think about getting him involved in something for you or your business, go to artbydmh.com. That's art, ARTBYDMH.com. Our friend Lily Von Stupp is the producer of this show and my bestest friend in the whole world. Lily Von Stupp, Twitter.com/MNTs, and Twitter.com/HollywoodBQFest. You can find her at Facebook.com/Lily Von Stupp. But if you'd like to write her a personal note, and find out exactly what she was wearing at the most boring orgy she's ever been to. You can write her at Lily at burlesque411.com. That's Lily, Lili, at burlesque411.com. Want to remind you folks about the Monday Night Teas every Monday night at the 3 clubs in Santa Monica and Vine. Not in Santa Monica and Vine, on Santa Monica and Vine. In Hollywood, on Santa Monica and Vine. There's a cross street there. Do not go to the Army Surplus store. There are very rarely naked women in there on a Monday night. However, if you cross the street, you will go into a bar. There's a taco truck right by it. Go into that bar and see nude ladies. It's going to be perfect.
They're not nude.
They're close enough for me, as far as I'm concerned.
No, they're not.
That's a good point. It's a very solid point. Yeah, I wish, yeah.
Last eye patch off.
That would be amazing. Oh my God, I would love it. But you hear that chattering in the background. That's the person who knows about naked ladies on Monday, because she has pioneered the idea of naked ladies on a Monday. Her name, she's my great friend, my surrogate sister, the woman who the woman who stirs the drink. She's the straw that stirs the drink. She's the women that the men leave their ladies for, their wives for. I tried to reverse that, and it wasn't smooth at all. That's my friend Lily von Stupp. Hi, Lily.
Hello, Michael.
How are you?
I am okay.
On the fence, huh? Because you're ill. You're still under the weather.
A little
That's unfortunate. And how's your foot?
sore.
Folks, her foot is blue. Like it looks like she stomped on a Smurf somehow. Because it is.
Smurf wine.
Yeah, we're grim. That's nasty. But yeah, that is. You should put something on that.
Giant like egg. What am I supposed to put on it? I put ice on it. I'll put ice on it again.
Why are you mad at me? I didn't hit you with a chair. Jesus Christ.
What am I supposed to put on it? There's no like magic ointment.
Listen,
Big giant
these are
lips
earbuds,
on
not a fucking stethoscope. I don't know what you should put on it. I'm just saying to you something along that would sound like comforting or something.
Could you unplug that and check my foot?
I could do that. Go ahead and plug it in there. Sounds awful. Tweak should put those out, stethoscope earbuds, right? Shouldn't they be ahead of the curve? Hey, Bruce, do that. So Lily,
awesome.
Bruce is the best. He's my favorite. He's my favorite Bruce in the world. I don't know, Bruce McGill, right up there. I won't lie. Bruce Boxleitner, falling down the list daily. That's how much he angers me. Daily he falls down the list. And that is a long list of Bruces. Bruce the Shark from Jaws, ahead of Boxleitner now. Shocking, but true.
Bruce Almighty? Any opinion?
I enjoy Bruce Almighty. What did they make Bruce Almighty 2 or something like that? Didn't they? Or I don't remember what they did. But then there's of course the always popular Bruce Banner, who was the Hulk. He wasn't the Hulk. He is the Hulk. Actually, when he turns back into Bruce Banner, you can go, "Wow, you were just the Hulk." So I guess that applies, really. All right, we're done with Bruce's. Let's go on to my friend Lily.
Done with Bruce.
We're finished with Bruce's.
Bruce?
How do I feel about Cousin Brucey, you ask?
Yes.
I have no opinion on Cousin Brucey. I don't like the name at all, quite frankly. I don't like the cousin part of it. I don't like the Brucey part of it. You put them together, I really hate it.
Is he the funny, like, baby-faced comic?
No, that's Bruce Baum.
Bruce Baum.
Baby Man.
Baby, yeah.
Yeah, that's Baby Man. But Baby Man made me sick, Bruce Baum. I met him in person a few times, and he's a nice man, a really cool guy. But, man, that soup strainer's got to go. I mean, I understand that's a trademark mustache, but trim it up, motherfucker, because it just looks nasty. I mean, it is because it hangs in front of his mouth. So it's like a... Well, yeah, but it just looks like mouth jail. Like, I mean, like his teeth would just be looking out. And like his teeth should run a metal cup along the bristles of that mustache to go and sing "Nobody Knows the Trouble We've Seen." I mean, it's just fucking terrible. So shave it up, Baum. Double B, B squared. Falling down the list. You know, Boxleitner ahead of Bruce Baum because of that soup strainer. Boxleitner grows a mustache, he falls back down.
Bruce Jenner.
Oh, man, Bruce Jenner can't grow a mustache anymore. He's had that depilatory all over his face. He's got a lady face now. He wants to be a lady. He doesn't count as a Bruce anymore. He wants to be a chick. He wants to jump into the chick realm.
Does he really?
Is there a realm for chicks? And if there are, would you leap into it like a decathlete? Yes, you would. He has to do a pole vault, and he's getting his pole removed. So there. He wants to be a lady, right?
Woman, really?
I think so. Isn't that something I heard?
I'm gonna look that
I've heard that about a lot of people, but I'm gonna say it about Bruce Jenner for sure. No, she just left. Kris Kardashian left him, or whatever the fuck her name is, Kris Jenner, and now he's going full blown lady. I think so. I don't know. Something's wrong with that face. He either becomes a lady or he starts pulling a rickshaw. I mean, he looks like fucking hell.
Bruce is a cross-dresser, according to Perez Hilton. Gay, gay, gay is the topic line.
See, well, and again, there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. Good for you. And honestly, if he's in that house with all those hens, well, I can't believe he's not wearing a dress 20 years ago. Jesus Christ.
Sarcasm. I don't know what this website is.
Okay.
But their subject line is Bruce Jenner transgender? And it just made me laugh.
Bruce transgender. Bruce transgender.
Transgender.
Is Bruce Jenner transgender? Someone got $10 for writing that headline.
I don't doubt it. Rolled off my tongue like a lady.
I was going to say a star
By the
gender.
way, Starcasm, my new favorite name for a website.
Starcasm or gasm?
Starcasm.
Chasm, C-H-A-S-M?
Yeah.
Really?
C-A-S-M.
How did they miss stargasm? There's got to be a stargasm, right?
I'm going to say that's a different site.
But there's got to be one. If there's not, buy it. Buy it. By the way, all you folks who tried to steal MikeSchmidtComedy.com from me, fuck you. Renewed it. You don't get a chance. I let it go to the last day, though, to see if anybody would pirate in and swoop in. Like John Belushi swinging on a banner in a pirate outfit. But nobody did. Lily, you're the proprietor. You're the progenitor. You're the progera. You're the...
Protractor.
You're the protracted.
I'm the pro.
You are certainly a pro when it comes to Monday Night Naked Ladies. And we're talking about the Monday Night Teas. How was this week's Monday Night Teas?
I shaved a man's ass on stage.
Unfortunate. I was not there to see that. I'm happy about that, quite frankly, I'll be honest. Why did that happen? Real quick, in case people didn't hear, she's far away. Lily shaved a man's privates on stage this week.
Just his ass.
Oh, I'm sorry, just his ass. She shaved his ass on stage.
Pulled his ass down a little bit, gave him a Superman towel cape, and then shaved the top of his ass.
And shaved his ass with a straight razor?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a big birthday party, and it was the company that they work for is a shaving company. And they were coming out, and they're like, could you do something funny, like shave his face on stage? And I'm like, no, but I'll shave his ass. Jokingly. And the next thing I know, here comes the mug with the thing to make the big...
No way, the foam and stuff?
So I foamed his ass up and shaved it. It was awesome.
Wow.
And he said thank you afterwards.
Did he tip you?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, nicely done.
I did get to keep the straight razor and the brush.
You got an ass brush?
Yeah.
Throw that ass brush away. You don't want that ass brush.
I used to be in that industry. You can sanitize ass.
No, you can't. Not that guy's.
He was a very nice gentleman.
No, I'm disappointed. Really? He's the very nice gentleman who got his ass shaved in a public venue. So good for him.
Can I give them a promo?
Please do.
ClassicShaving.com.
ClassicShaving.com. Why are we giving them a promo? They don't pay.
Here's why, because they're most likely going to provide me some prizes for Mr. Hollywood Burlesque and Mr. Leading Man.
All right, they better, because we just mentioned them, and those will be on in perpetuity when people buy year 6. People buy year 6.
You can go there and guess which employee I shaved. It could be a game. Who did Lily shave?
Whose ass did Lily shave? Well, that could be a game at any website, really.
That's very true.
Go to Starcasm. Check that. Who did Lily's ass shave? Or what ass did Lily shave?
Who cares? Anyway, it was a great show. I had 2 performers get sick. And
Because of you, Patient Zero?
No, I was afraid of that at BurleyCon. I was afraid they were going to be like Typhoid Lily. But I had 2 performers I put it out on, and Diamondback Annie texted me and said, hey, I'm not doing anything tonight. I'd love to come do the show. So my very first burlesque crush came and performed at the show. And
How perfect.
she gave me her Elvis scarf.
Oh. So gorgeous. And on a whim. That's amazing.
On a whim. It was like the last minute. I sat in my own puddle sitting on the watching it.
Well, good. And then you mopped it up with the Elvis scarf.
I
And then
mopped it up with the Elvis scarf.
got a straight razor out.
Her panties after this.
Oh, my
I
word.
picked them up on stage because they're leather, and I was like, oh, the smell of leather and Diamondback Annie at the same time. It was pretty much heaven.
Intoxicating. Intoxicating.
So it was a great show. It was a lot of fun.
Sounds like
really
it.
Fun show.
I'm sorry I missed it. I was in, where was I? I was terrible. I was at the beach delivering food for people. So this week,
Yes.
there's a Monday Night Tease.
Yes.
Is it a theme show?
No.
It is just a regular hot Monday Night Naked Lady
Snapper
show.
and Buddy are hosting this month because you know it's Movember, No Shave November.
All right.
So they're doing a lot of facial hair humor, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I know you will enjoy
It's
it.
a deep well.
I hope you
It's a
come
deep
by.
well to fish from.
And then we've got just amazing performers. I have a boylesque performer making a debut. I have a girl in from Australia. It's just going to be a great show all around.
Fantastic. Tickets available at brownpapertickets.com, always, for the Monday Night Teas. Let's talk about the Hollywood Burlesque Festival, which is fast approaching. We are less than a month away, correct?
Yes.
Tickets are on sale for that at brownpapertickets.com. You can also go to hollywoodburlesquefestival.com for any and all information about that said festival. You can go to facebook.com/HollywoodBQFest.
I think it's Hollywood Burlesque Festival.
Facebook.com/Hollywood Burlesque Festival. Join the page, get all the announcements, find out about the classes, find out about the dancers, find out about the headliners, find out about Roxy Delight and why she is the person you should follow the rest of your life in a van. Because, oh my God, I saw her and I was stunned. I was astonished at the appearance of a Roxy Delight. But she's headlining the Hollywood Burlesque Festival along with Russell Bruner and a bunch of amazing people. So all the information available if you go to MondayNightTees.com. You can go to Facebook.com/MondayNightTees for information about those shows. And go to BrownPaperTickets.com. Search Lily Bunched Up. Search Hollywood Burlesque Festival. Search Monday Night Tees. All the tickets are available there for you to purchase and come to every one of these shows and have a good time. And, you know, there's all sorts of swag bags that are being given away to people. There's prizes. It's fun. It's an extravagant time at the Hollywood Burlesque Festival. I will be there, certainly. I know I'm going to come a couple nights, I think. It depends. My schedule is wacky. You guys know that. But I know Dizzy's coming to town. I want to see Dizzy. And I was going to if I was available. I offered to do that. I said I would do that if you needed me to. As well as, I guess I'm picking up coconut water at some point, and I might be driving naked ladies around. Lily's like, hey, can you schlep some women around? And I go, as long as they're topless. They have to be topless. That's the rule. And I say that as a joke, and then Lily's like, well, maybe that can be arranged. Hold on a second. I'm in.
Gonna get you a magnetic sign that says topless cab.
I'm in. And then they'll put blinders on my head so I can't see anything. God damn it. Crazy horse blinders. And then I'll just act like a giraffe and say nay and get shot in the head.
Sounds like a plan.
I like it.
It's all figured out.
Look, if a topless chick wants to shoot me in the face, go right ahead. I'm all for it. So all those tickets are available at all of those addresses I just gave you. Look it up, check it out, and enjoy those shows. And see me there, because I'll be there waving and bouncing and doing all the important things that other people can't and won't do. Go to Facebook.com/the40year-old-boy and be my friend. While you're there, look for the Westside 86 Jokers page. That's the fan club page started by our friend Adam Welker and maintained by so many other people. We are so close to 700 people being a member, being members of this page. So go join. That'd be great. And I should tell you, there's no real prizes or benefits. I don't have Dakota rings. I don't have lick 'em stick 'em tattoos just yet. But please know that eventually I will come around and say hello, and that's well worth the price of admission, right? Go be a fan on the fan club page, and eventually I will come in and post or answer. Maybe I'll even post an answer on your post. Oh my God, I'm so accessible. So that's at Facebook.com/the40year-old-boy. Be my friend there. Go join the fan club. Have a good time. And again, I mentioned follow me at Twitter.com/the40year-old-boy. Go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com. And you will find all sorts of things there. You will go to the Joe Business page. Plenty of stuff for sale at the Joe Business page. It is a cornucopia of all things me. I will tell you there's a pennant on the wall for the Amazon store. That's important with the holidays coming up. If you're going to do any holiday shopping at Amazon, click through using my banner. Why not? And I'm going to start designing the store a little. I said that before, I know, but it's been rough with Mex and everything else, and I don't design anything. And Mex has been very busy at home writing Smash Mouth songs. So... but hopefully we'll get to it now, because with the holidays coming up, if you click through the Amazon banner, then I get money if you buy things, and I get a list of what you bought, and it's always great. I want to thank the person who bought a box of condoms through Amazon and used me as a reference or whatever they did. They clicked through and bought condoms, which made me laugh. Because I will tell you that I get to see what you bought, folks. I don't know if you know this. So people buy vacuum bags and people buy amazing. So thank you. I appreciate it. And so it seems so weird when I look at it like someone bought vacuum bags through your link. I'm like, all right, great. I'm clean up. Maybe I'm Joe Bissell. That's who I am. Forget Joe Business. I'm Joe Bissell. So on the Joe Business page, we have all sorts of stuff for sale. There's artwork for sale. And I should tell you this. Tomorrow, I am catching up on all the mailings. There are CDs that were ordered while I was in Green Bay, and then I was working doubles. And so tomorrow, all the mailings will be caught up on, including the artwork that was ordered for Paul and Nicole. Thank you so much. And that is going out. I just got it from Mex, as I mentioned, and it goes out tomorrow morning. Everything goes out. So thank you so much for doing that. On Joe Business, you can go ahead and buy the artwork. You can get the For the Life of Schmitty download. You can get the Schmitty Comes Alive download. Year 1, Year 2, Year 3, Year 4, and Year 5 of the show are available individually or as part of the UN of Evil box set. You can donate to the show in the upper left-hand corner of every page by clicking on donate and sending a one-time donation, or subscribing for $2, $5, $10, or $25 a month. Tweakedaudio.com is a sponsor of this show and has been for quite a while. Tweakedaudio.com/40 is the place to go for autoerotic asphyxiation earbuds and for cock ring watches and gear. And the Yurt shirt is also available. Don't forget that. Some people bought some while I was in Green Bay, and thank you for that. The Yurt shirt is available now, so go ahead and purchase those, and I will send them internationally. And I have 3Xs, I have 2Xs, I have all sorts of sizes, so pick those up and enjoy them, and we would love that. And Lily, I know especially would love that because she's been saying to me, I want to see everybody wearing the Yurt shirt. And I said, well, as soon as I can get people to buy them, they will. And then we're going to assemble everybody in a group and take a group photo, a group Yurt photo. No, we're not. What if we did? What if I made everybody buy a shirt, take a picture? I should do that, right? Shouldn't I take a picture of people when they buy a shirt? I should be taking pictures of you folks, goddammit. That's what I should be doing. I should be harvesting these memories for when I'm old and gray. Or old, at least. Well, I'm
harvesting for that. You should be harvesting them for marketing.
Marketing? I put people's faces out there?
Look, here's someone in a shirt. Here's somebody else in a shirt. You could do a whole fan page of
just people in shirts. Oh, my God. You're in marketing mode for the Hollywood Burlesque Festival. Good for you. I think it's a plan. No, that's great. I need to add a page. Like it'll be like, and we'll design the page. I'll have Mex do it because God knows he doesn't have enough on his plate.
No, just do it in Facebook in the group.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what that's supposed to be for, you know.
What is?
Social networking and marketing.
Don't know anything about it.
Okay.
See, Lily knows. That's why she's in charge, folks. So go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com and go to the Joe Business page. You don't want to be in charge? Why don't you want to be in charge? Because you're not in charge of this mess? Is that what you're trying to say? Oh my God, you're totally in charge. It's hot. Listen, there are not a lot of people in white shorts and a black thong in charge of anything, so please embrace it.
Really? You're really going to give me shit about that?
I'm not giving you shit at all. I'm thrilled. I'm all for it. That's fine with me. And by the way, folks, as I mentioned, there's all that stuff for sale at the Joe Business page, and it's never been more crucial than it has been now because I don't know if I've mentioned this. Guess who found out he owes the IRS another $1,000? That's right, another $1,000 because I owe them $1,000 initially. But now, additionally, I owe them another $1,000. The business, Throat Punch, owes them $1,000. As a guy, I owe them $1,000, but now Throat Punch also does. So, if you want to buy stuff, that'd be great. And also, guess what else happens, folks? Mike Schmidt is, he's Travis Barbecue, and he's delivering food, and he's taking people all their stuff. And the other day, I pulled up in front of the restaurant, and I ran inside really quick to see if there was any food orders. And then I grabbed my phone, and I checked my phone, and they said, Mike. And I looked outside, and hey, City of Los Angeles, I am parked in a red zone, but I work at this establishment. That's why my flashers are on, and I ran in to check. And she said, I'm sorry, you're getting a ticket anyway. That's $100, folks. That's a $100 ticket I got for being in a red zone out front. And I tried to reason with her. And I said, listen, I work here. And you guys eat here all the time. I mean, I'm just running in really quick to see if there's any orders. She goes, well, sir, they have a parking lot in the back. I go, it's full of customers. She goes, well, that's not my problem. If you work here, they need to have a designated. And I'm like, yes, I get that, but I'm asking you for a break, please. And she goes, I've already put your license plate in the machine. That's the fucking biggest cop out in the world when they say that. I already put your license plate in the machine. Well, then don't take it out. Why the fuck did you do that? If you would have stopped to talk to me, because she was out there 30 seconds before I came out. So she didn't have to do it. I was so fucking pissed off. So she keeps talking. She's looking at my license plate, and I got in my car and I drove off. I just pulled up and parked in a regular spot. And she goes, sir, where are you going, sir? And I got out. I go, well, I'm in a red zone. I have to move the car, right? And she just had to walk up and then to get my VIN number. I didn't give a fuck at that point. I was just like, there. Now I'm not in a red zone. Do whatever the fuck you want. And I went in. I didn't even take the ticket. I just went in the fucking building, put it under my window. Yeah, do it. I don't care. So I went inside, and the wait staff and everybody was kind of there, and they're like, oh, that's a drag. And I'm like, uh-huh. And I'm just getting more angry, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching her write the ticket. And and Mike showed up at the restaurant, and I just turned around and I fired my elbow. There's a concrete wall like on there. No, I just like that. You can see still a scar. I blasted my elbow into the fucking wall hard. And one of the girls working there goes, ah, Mike! And I'm standing there, and then I just realized, I basically scared all of the women who work there, because I'm nice, Mike. I say goodbye to them when I leave, and I say hello, and I thank them for their help. And then, Mike showed up, and because Mike showed up in Hollywood before, Mike had never shown up in Venice. So I'm standing there, and there's blood running down my arm from my elbow, and she's just looking at me, and she's just got her hands over her mouth, because I just do that sort of thing. I've punched holes in walls, and I guess I don't realize what it looks like from the outside. 6'2", 275, just explodes and fucking throws an elbow through a wall and starts bleeding. And she's looking at me, and all of them are really silent and just kind of looking at me. And I, again, I'm stupid, so I just look and I just go, I have kind of a rage thing. I'm sorry about that. That's not me all the time, but sometimes it shows up, and I apologize. And they're just like, okay, are you okay? Just, you shouldn't do that. That's that kind of thing. It's kind of crazy, And I go, yeah, I know it was crazy, but that's $100, and I'm not in a position where I could be losing $100. And then the one girl's like, yeah, but if you break your arm on the wall, it's probably going to be a lot more. And I go, I know, I get that, I understand. And then another girl looks at me and goes, well, maybe you stop parking in red zones. And I wanted to say, hey, didn't you just see me try to put my elbow through a fucking wall? Are you trying to help, or are you trying to hurt this situation? I want to know exactly, because that remark's not helping anybody. As blood drips on the floor from my fucking arm. But I literally, because I wanted to say something really mean or terrible, but she's not wrong. I should stop parking in fucking red zones. So I just kind of stared at her, and in my head I just go, you've done enough damage for today. And I didn't say anything. I turned around and I walked away, and I went in and I fucking ran water on my arm under the fucking sink, and then took a picture and put it on Facebook, and enjoyed that. My favorite response was Lily, our friend Lily Pontel. She just wrote, sigh. Because I was like, should I tell people I have a rage thing early, or just wait till they see me try to put my fucking arm through a wall? And she's like, sigh. And I couldn't figure out if it was like, here's how stupid I am, okay? I couldn't figure out if it was like, again with the nonsense and the hitting of the wall, or was it, I am so turned on right now by you putting your fucking elbow through a wall. I prefer to think it was the latter. I know it was not, but it made me laugh when I thought about it, because it was just like sigh with like asterisks around it. And I'm like, well, does she feel bad for me because I'm an idiot? Or is she just like, oh, that is so hot that you and your vascular arms try to punch through a concrete wall and bleed all over the place like an idiot? Like I'm the Jason Statham of barbecue. Fuck that. So look, I clearly know that she meant you're an idiot, but I try to spin it for myself just so I don't look like that much of an idiot. And I knew I looked like an idiot. That's why I put it on fucking Facebook. It's just literally, it's just this close-up photo of a fucking scar on my elbow, and I had luckily cleaned all the blood off because I wanted to be a nice guy. But yeah, so I guess the bottom line is, don't park in red zones. And if you do park in red zones, don't try to murder walls afterwards, because it never goes well for you. It certainly doesn't go well for the wall. Well, actually, I can be honest with you. The wall always wins. Well, not always wins. There are holes in walls all over America, thanks to me. But then they get repaired, and it's tough to repair your fist or your arm or your reputation with a bunch of women who thought you were a nice guy and then realized that you're the kind of guy who tried to put his elbow through a fucking wall. And go ahead and try to explain that to them. I'm human lunch meat. I'm nobody. I'm bologna and pants. God damn it. Why do I think I'm somebody special? Why do I think I'm anybody interesting? I'm not. All I bring to the table is everything that everybody else does, but louder. Don't hit snooze on me, motherfucker. I am a hilarious noise machine. I'm going to tell you this. You need to sit down and reevaluate your life if you can pull 2 midget Indian wrestlers out of your skull at any time. You know what? I don't even need you people here. Seriously, I do this. I love me. I don't give a fuck what you think, how you think. God damn it, I'm the greatest. I can't go for Schmidt. No, no. No can do. 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 No can do.